This is a song that Tim Wick wrote for me to sing.
Welcome back to In the Real. That is, we're debating on the last name, Lisa Wenger. As she pointed out, the song was written by Tim Wick, was it? Name is Drinkin' Woogie Mama.
Drinkin' Woogie Mama.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. But we'll definitely let that one play out at the end as well.
It's fun. I love that song.
Well, here we are. Jen's all excited for this. I don't know what the hell we're going to talk about other than the football picks that we all got hosed on. Jen was doing pretty good until the Packers got involved.
Right.
So this is Eric, as you all well know, here with Jen and Cheryl. Welcome. Hello.
Hey, yo.
Hello.
Cheryl's broken.
Yes, I am.
We won't say why.
Well, you can say back problems and everything else.
I wasn't going to mention the guy's name.
Oh, nice. What the hell?
None of them. None of them.
Nice. Back problems happened before that. No,
Something just blow.
Yeah, the right channel. It'll come back.
Okay, great. Shoddy equipment. No.
Nice.
Yeah, it is. Need a new equalizer.
Okay.
But we're a basement deal.
Yes.
We are semi-professional unprofessionals.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Did you
You
want to play with this after the fact, or do you want
Let's
to talk
do it right
about
now.
football stuff right now? Wow.
Talk about football right now.
Well, so right off the start, if you listen to our last podcast that had this, we went through, did our picks from the start of the wild card playoffs, and I lost right away when I took Oakland over Houston. So I had to, or Houston, yeah. Oakland over Houston. So I had to obviously repick that to between Houston and New England. It wasn't a big deal because I picked New England anyway. I took them all the way to the Super Bowl, which won. So it didn't matter that I lost with Miami and then also lost with Kansas City. As my NFC pick for the Super Bowl participant was accurate. What'd you have there, Jen, on the AFC side?
On the AFC side, I actually was dead on for the wild card, and I lost it in the divisional playoffs because New England won over Houston. The only reason I picked Houston is because I can't stand New England, because they seem to always be in it or always be there. It's like, give somebody else a chance. I know it's not about fairness, but that's just my mindset.
Right.
Sure.
Be fair,
Yeah. Yeah.
Let somebody else be in there.
So you lost in the conference championship because that was Houston versus New England, right?
Who did you take Kansas City to in your Pittsburgh pick? The lower part.
Pittsburgh and then Kansas City. So I said Kansas City would win.
And they lost out.
They lost, yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
you dropped there as well as on top. So your whole AFC got shot out.
Whole thing.
And we didn't repick on the second ones. Mm-hmm. You didn't anyway.
Because she was winning for a while.
Yeah, she was winning on the NFC side.
Yeah, on the NFC side.
But your AFC all lost when New England came into play anyway.
Yeah, pretty much second round.
Oh, gotcha. The AFC. Okay, I see what you mean.
Yep.
And then your NFC side.
Well, I haven't talked about the NFC yet.
Oh, I didn't know we were doing. Okay.
Yeah, one at a time. So how would you do on AFC?
I got Houston all the way down to the conference. And, well, yeah, I had Houston from the start for the wild card, Houston for the AFC divisional, and Houston for the conference. But I lost Miami and Kansas. Yeah, I lost. Yeah, because wait, what? Did I have Miami? No, that's right, because Miami lost at the beginning. So I actually repicked Pittsburgh. They won. So yeah, I was all the way up to the conference championships, and then I lost.
Because you didn't want New England either.
I didn't want New England either. Yeah. Yes.
Well, I guess on the AFC side, I'm the only one that took at least one of my picks all the way to the Super Bowl and won it.
Oh, we should get a prize for him.
Oh, yeah.
I have a
yeah.
boiled peanut.
Wait, what do you mean won it? Hasn't even played yet.
Well, only one pick on my AFC side. I
gotcha.
took all the way to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
And that was successful. The rest of my picks I lost on that. So up until New England came into play, I didn't win anything on the AFC side. Everything was a loss for me there.
Okay.
But then we went to the NFC side, and I felt Green Bay was going to come in from the start. I didn't think they would get to the Super Bowl. I had Detroit going, which was dropped immediately. So I lost out on that, except for the Green Bay picks I had. Oh, wait. No, I take that back. I misread what I wrote here. I had the Giants beat Green Bay, but that lost out. So then, of course, I took Dallas to win that game. So it didn't matter anyway, because whoever I was going to pick to win there was going to lose. But everybody lost to Green Bay anyway until they got to Atlanta. And I lost Detroit right away. So I took actually Atlanta after I lost Detroit, and I got them all the way to the Super Bowl. So I got that after having to repick with all my losses. So on a second attempt, I got that one right.
Okay. I actually did really good on my NHC side.
NFC?
NFC. I said NHC, like the hockey. NFC. Because out of the Green Bay and Giants, I picked Green Bay. And then out of Green Bay and Dallas, I picked Green Bay. So they were in it. And then I had Detroit and Seattle. And I had Seattle. And then Seattle and Atlanta. I picked Atlanta. But I picked Green Bay to be in the Super Bowl. So that's where I got fucked.
You did well right up to that. That was
right
amazing.
Up to the last one.
Yeah. Yep.
Honestly, I did not think Green Bay was going to lose like that.
That was pretty scary.
Yeah, they oh my gosh. For as well as they were playing the end of the season and into the playoffs, I didn't imagine they would choke that hard.
Yeah. So I had I lost the first wild card between Green Bay and the Giants, because I picked the Giants. Green Bay won that one. And then I lost to, because Seattle and Detroit lost, right?
Yep.
So I lost those two. And then in the divisional playoffs, I repicked Green Bay. No, I didn't. No, I picked Dallas. Okay, yeah. So that one I won.
No, you didn't.
Well,
lost that too.
Aren't they in the playoffs?
No, Atlanta is.
Oh, I didn't. Well, I guess my sheet's not up to date, apparently.
You lost as well.
I lost that as well. Damn it, all my picks are all screwed up. Okay. I see what I did here. I screwed up big
And
time.
it looks like you did take Atlanta over, was it Seattle, I think it was?
Yes, I did pick, or Detroit. Well, I think I
Yeah, you had... Yeah, I think you
had to
repicked
repick
because Detroit wasn't in it. You and I had to repick those
Yes.
brackets because our team lost.
Yep. So, yeah, and then it was between Dallas and Atlanta won. So, yeah, now I have the two that I didn't vote on at all is New England against Atlanta.
Right. And who did you pick to go to the Super Bowl after we repicked on the NFC side?
Dallas. I'm just
Dallas?
kidding. I have to repick that. I guess I'm going with Atlanta because...
You don't want New England to
No,
win?
they've won it way too many times. If we were betting money, I would bet New England. But because we're not betting money,
Right.
I'm going with the underdog.
Well, that is a very good point because when we started doing these picks, I was picking the people I wanted to win.
Yeah.
And it didn't turn out that way at all. So,
Right.
if there was money on it, I would have rethought what I was doing too.
Yeah.
But
So maybe next year we can do like $5-10, and then it might be a little bit more of a strategy more than a desire or want. Oh, they have pretty pants. I want them to win. You know.
Right.
Well, there's nothing wrong with picking that way. You just might want to pay attention to how they're playing throughout the year too.
That's true.
Who do you have now for the Super Bowl, Eric?
Well, for the Super Bowl, originally I had New England winning, and I still have them winning. I just by the competition between those two, what they're able to do, New England's the one that is on the line to win, and it's not to say that Atlanta couldn't, because they're a really good game. I think this is going to be a fantastic Super Bowl to watch. But I still think New England's going to pull it off.
And that was your original pick.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
And I'm just hoping beyond hope that they don't, so I have Atlanta because I
Yep.
don't want them to win.
Yeah, yeah. I do too, just because I'm voting for the underdog.
New England.
Yeah. Let somebody else win for once. I know that's not how sports are played.
Like,
but-
oh, we're going to have to get a couple more trophy cases here. We've won
Right.
it so many times.
Right.
These things are pretty big.
Well, fun. Well,
Yeah.
in a couple of weeks, I guess we'll see. Or 1 week now.
Yeah, next weekend.
I have to apologize for the coughing, too. Everybody at my work has been coughing for 2 weeks, and I'm not sick.
Fantastic.
I'm not sick, but there's, obviously my system caught something because I keep
Well, apparently
coughing.
you're sick then.
I don't feel sick. Could be sinuses, too. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, sure. Or that you're getting that, what is that, cauliflower lung thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably it. Okay, so today's topic, I picked it, and I didn't tell either of you what it is.
Yeah. This is
So-
going to be a surprise. I hope I know what it is.
Right.
I decided that we would be really good to go over relationship or relationship.
Okay.
Well, that's awesome.
All right.
But this is something Eric and I have wanted to talk about for a really long time. Actually, we're going to start writing a book on it and everything about relationship stuff. Because there seems to be a lot of people out there that don't know the difference
Right.
between the two. Is
And
it
we'll
a
just-
relationship or a relationship?
Yeah, and we'll just stay in something because they're too afraid of what the opposite is or
A
something.
multitude
Yeah.
of issues.
So
Oh,
many of
we
my
have
friends.
kids. We need to stay together for the kids.
Right. Yeah, grandpa and grandma, they don't believe in divorce. Okay, so just spend the rest of your the rest 60 of your years being miserable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And there, we should mention that in discussing this, and I know we've talked about this before as well, to point out the straight fact that we do understand we have probably a very good and stable perspective on things, but and through experience on what doesn't work, that kind of thing. But it doesn't mean that there are other people not happy with their situation as is, even though we might look at it and go, "The hell are you doing?"
Right.
And they're perfectly happy, and that's fine. I mean, ultimately, that's what matters. So, we'll probably try to stay as general as we can, but yeah, there is a quite an interesting line between having a relationship and a relationship.
Yeah.
And some of the points you made, Cheryl, that some people just don't know when to say, okay, this needs to end. This isn't healthy for either one of us,
Right.
regardless of who's benefiting, who's not. Even if it's unhealthy for one person, that means both of you are just in a bad place,
Yeah.
regardless.
I have to say that I've played, I've done that before. So now it's like looking at it on a different angle. I'm like, what the hell was I thinking?
So you've got some experience too. You can speak from, even in the long term, holding on to something. So, and I'm sure Jen and I have a perspective on that just the same. And I'm sure there's at least 3 to 9 variations of reasons. They're not all going to be the same just per person.
Right.
Each relationship is probably going to have a different point or purpose to it
Right.
that kept us there, I would imagine. Wouldn't you agree?
Yep, definitely. I mean, there's people stay in it for different reasons because it's all very personal, and we have this amazing ability to justify things in our heads to ourselves. Where, excuse me, I keep clearing my throat. I can't help it. Like, for instance, me, I stayed in a relationship once, and I can't even tell you why to this day. I thought it was a good thing, and then come to find out the guy was a loser and a liar, and then when I look back now, I'm like, and he was really ugly.
Yeah.
What the hell was
Yeah.
I doing?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't even understand it. But back then I felt like my life would be over if I didn't have him.
Right.
Like I was nobody. All of my identity was wrapped up into this person. And then turns out he was manipulating too, and I had no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's.
What about you guys?
Well, are we giving out examples here? Or
Yeah.
did you have something you want to follow out here with? Or?
No, we got some guide points or
Well,
whatever.
we're gonna.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna keep you at point here on where we're going with stuff, so we don't get out of hand here.
Eric doesn't want
Yes.
to talk about
Well, no,
why he
No.
stayed in
I did want to point out that I think the biggest thing I think that people don't break up with somebody when it's a bad relationship is because they are so afraid of being alone. It's like that's actually a good thing to experience because you actually find out who you are. You find out things about stuff that you didn't know about yourself. That thing. And things that I don't know. I mean, I've been, I guess, single for the last
27 minutes.
Nice. No, technically single for probably the last year or two. I've been was dating here and off and on again. And
Is that what you call it nowadays?
yeah, well,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, I saw the two guys I
Yeah.
was seeing at the beginning of, I think it was last year.
Netflix and cuddle, whatever the hell it is.
Nice. I would happily marry Netflix any day.
So Jen gave an example of one of her situations. Do you want to give an example of one, Cheryl?
I'm good. I'll wait. I'm sure it's on the
Well,
list.
that's what we're doing.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, she gave an example. Want to know if you
Yeah,
had
just
an example?
like, just lightly describe. You don't have to name names or anything about a
Yeah.
time
Yeah,
that you
let's
stayed,
not name any names
you
here.
stayed in a relationship.
That's going to be hard. No, I'm just kidding. No.
Then now you look back on it and you're like, what? Why
Several-
did I stay?
Every
Yeah.
guy's name is Biff.
Nice.
Every chick is Doe.
Yeah.
We get it. I mean, just to be straight out too, is all of us kind of come from a codependent background.
Yeah.
Where we were raised by people who were codependent.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I don't know if I had that. But
Oh yeah, you did.
I suppose in some ways. I just don't know if those examples came to front for me if I knew it or not. But I mean, it could very well have a variability to it. But
Well, your worst relationship was based on somebody that was looking for a codependent, so you had to have
yeah,
been.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Good point. Well, that one I'll just use an example. It was a very codependent situation, highly manipulative situation. Probably the worst one I was ever in. Narcissistic person, and as well, it's leading along the same lines as your first example was. Without this person, I was manipulated into thinking I would be a nothing in the world. And coming from a background of feeling and being a nothing, when this person came to my life and the first spot of attention I ever had in my life was this person, it really led me to believe that without them I would be nothing again. So it was easier to hang on to that than it was to lose it and not know what would happen. Mm-hmm. And that was very abusive, without a doubt, on many, many levels, not just that, but yeah, and I can look back now and just say, what the hell were you doing? But the mindset at the time, I couldn't have imagined ending that until the point came to where it was necessary, and had a lot of pleasant help from people to push that along and make me believe in myself that I could do that. So.
And that's kind of the whole purpose of the podcast, is because, if somebody's listening and they need help, or if there's somebody that you see and you think they should probably hear something about this, everybody's been in this situation.
Yeah.
And it's pretty shitty.
Yeah.
And you don't know where your mind is. You don't know what to do. So really, what you do is you open up and tell somebody, talk to people about it. And the more people you hear that are like, you're not insane, you're not nobody. Mm-hmm. Nobody, you're not nobody. That was really bad grammar.
You're not nobody.
You're not a nobody. Then the more people can actually gain from it and realize, I'm my own person. I don't need to put up with shit that I don't like just because I think I'll be alone.
Right.
If this person,
Or can't live without this
I can't
person
live with
attached
them.
to me by my side, no matter if it's a bad relationship or, an abusive relationship. It's like, why? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's hard for people to mentally make that leap.
Oh, you're telling me watching you make that leap is frustrating.
Yeah.
Even as your sister, and knowing that you have a problem making that leap. So talk about that leap a little bit. Like, give an example of somebody that you're with, and then how does it switch for you? Because to me, from the outside looking, outside looking in at you, it looks like you literally just flip a switch.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm done.
Right.
And I'm like, how the fuck does that happen?
Right.
So I don't understand that process you go through.
It takes a process. That's the thing, is that it doesn't happen overnight, but suddenly you just kind of realize, I don't know. I don't really know what it is, but I don't like going through it. And maybe that's why I haven't maybe put myself in a situation to get into that again. But and I can't really even pinpoint one situation because there's been so many. There's been so many men that I have felt like, oh my God, my life is going to be over if I can't talk to this person ever again, if I can't, see this person. And I think the only thing that really just heals is time. I mean, it sounds really generic to say, but it's the truth. You just kind of just realize over time that distance helps. The thing that's hard is don't keep talking to this person. Don't keep trying to hang on to, little strings here and there.
Don't drunk text them.
Yeah, don't drunk text any, when you're drinking, do not, and you're in
call
those, just leave your phone alone.
Stay off Facebook.
Yeah,
No Twitters, no tweets.
Right. Eventually you'll your mind just kind of decides, you know what, we're done. I'm fine. Fine on my own. I've survived. I'm still breathing. I don't know. I'm not, I don't have great examples because there's way too many to give.
Well, you made some pretty good points with that, with the time thing, and I would add to that. Most people, and when I say most, I'm talking about 99.9%, don't have the mental capacity to be able to carry on a cordial relationship after they've had a committed one, I would call it, with somebody else, and they needed to end that. They don't know how to, in their mind, separate those things without it reverting back. Because without a doubt, male or female, I don't care who you are, one of the things that's going to drive you to stay with somebody is sex, particularly if it was favorable and pleasant. Everything else might suck and you want to end everything, and once it does, you kind of want that physical thing to stay there because, well, it's fun and everybody likes it. And it's not impossible to do that. Most people just can't handle separating that out. So that contact becomes a feeding ground to try to keep that going from one side to the other side.
Yeah.
And when you generically have people that join that physical aspect of life with an emotional one, thinking they're interconnected, you can never separate things, and that becomes problematic.
I think
very few people can, though.
And I think more so for women. I mean, that may be
Oh,
kind of
absolutely.
sexist to say that.
No, I know what you're saying with
'Cause I
that,
know
and
there
I
are
would not.
Dis-
I wouldn't disagree with you, but I
Right.
don't agree with that being a sexist thing. It's reality.
Right.
I mean, if we're going to be talking straight about things that we do on the show in the real here, males have penises, women do not. Males have testosterone, very little estrogen, and it's reversed for the females. All those things take different tolls on us and have a different mental process of what's going on in our minds. So to say that women have a harder time with the emotional battle that's going on, I don't think is false. And it doesn't mean that there aren't women that can't handle that as well. It's just outside of the bell curve.
And there's not to say that there's not men.
Exactly.
Absolutely. I don't want to
Yes.
take it from
Yeah.
one side to the other
There
and
are
say it's not
definitely men
existent.
that have that emotional attachment.
Oh,
to-
absolutely.
yeah. So
without a doubt. So let's.
But in general
we're
terms,
keeping it
I'd
real as
say-
we're keeping it real. Generally speaking, in that bell curve, you're right, and women would have a harder time to deal with that. And it's not a knock on them. It just is what it is.
it's a
quite an emotional attachment that you have.
DNA thing or something. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Goddamn DNA.
So there's a website out there I took some of this information off of. This is actually from 2 different websites. So the first one is kind of guidelines about talking about unhealthy relationships, and this is from
You suck!
Nice.
You just spit it out like that?
Yeah. It's from classroom.synonym.com. So, and then they have a good relationships link to it.
That's the website?
I have the website down here, honey. I'll give it to you.
Oh, perfect.
Yep.
Put a little mark by it so I can find it.
Okay. Let's find a pen here.
Email it to
and
me so
here
I
we
can just
go.
copy and paste.
Can't email it. Okay. So, anyway, with unhealthy relationships, they basically leave you feeling worse about yourself. If your partner monitors where you go, who you talk to, or how you spend your money, it is a sign of control. Unhealthy behaviors can also include pressuring a partner for sex, just like you were talking about, Eric. Hitting or threats. If you mostly give while your partner takes. If your partner frequently criticizes you or tries to change you, or if you feel insecure, it may be best to leave. What? He just goes and then gets that real hardline mouth and then starts laughing. What do you think, hon? What is the...
Well, let me see. I was hearing you, but can't remember them all off the top of my head.
Okay, so it's just this first bracket
Okay.
here.
Now, it tries to change you. Is that for the better or for the the worse? That's kind of a iffy.
When it comes to changing, and in my opinion, I want to know what yours is too, Jen. Is that I feel strongly about this. I think asking any change, whether the person asking sees it as a good thing or a bad thing, worst thing they'd ever do.
Okay.
It's okay to discuss the things that you don't care for, but to ask that person to change it, even if it is good for them, is a bad idea.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is this. if that person doesn't feel that change is necessary, but they do it anyway, they're going to resent you at some point, and that relationship's going down the hole from that point on, because they changed something for you, not for themselves.
Right.
So it's a fine line to walk to say, I'm having a hard time with this, but it's really how you present that. This is a problem I'm having. The moment you say, can you change this, or is this something that you could do differently, you're walking down a line of ending that relationship at some point. Because if they can't confidently look at you and say, I don't have a problem with that, that's your issue.
Right.
And if you can't work that out based on that, they go, yeah, I think I can change that, you're screwed.
Well,
Absolutely screwed. I don't care how little it is.
Because Jenny, your ex-coworker, won't name any names here. He asked his girlfriend, told her when she wanted to get back together after he'd broken up with her because she was such a negative. Everything was just negative. Talked about people negative. Talked about her day negative. And he said when she wanted to get back together, I told her, I said, you got to stop with the negativity. So she did. Now that would be a good thing.
It's a good thing, but it's possibly temporary.
Right.
Because if that's part of her personality, it's going to come back up. If she doesn't view it as a problem, she's only doing it to salvage the relationship.
Right, but how shitty of a person is she to resent him for asking her to, hey, can you look at life a little bit more fucking positive?
Because people are crazy in general.
Yeah.
We're all a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Somebody asks us to change something, we're even Eric talking about the e-cigarette stuff, and go, you got to quit that, no, whatever. He's not telling me to change, but he's kind of indicating that he'd really, really like it if I change.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how stressful it is sometimes when all of a sudden you and I are smoking on the couch and he's sitting there and he does this little thing. And I know it's because of that. And then I'm panicking because of the cloud. I'm like, it's a lot of pressure and stress on somebody to just even keep it in your head.
Yeah.
It's time consuming in your mind. So yes, if somebody identifies something about themselves and they're like, somebody brought this to my attention, I don't like this about myself, so I'm going to change it, that's different.
Okay.
Absolutely. And I think that's the point I'm really trying to make, is that that's where it needs to come down to. We're using the e-cigarette thing as an example. I don't like it. I don't like it because it's around me, and I don't like it around me. It's irritating. It stinks. I'm not a fan of it. I don't want that junk in my lungs because I don't know what it's ever going to do. And by the time there's any real research done on it, I'm going to be dying already, and maybe from it. And I don't like that. Okay. I'm most certainly not going to take care of you if that becomes a problem in your life with an illness, because then it's your fault.
We knew that before.
I disagreed with it, but it's your choice. That's your life. Do I want you to stop doing that? Of course I do. That's pretty clear. But I don't expect you to, because that's your choice. And I think that's where a line comes in, where I would hope there's that understanding. You already know I don't like it, but that's my problem. That's not your problem. You like it. Maybe you don't. But at the time you choose to change that, that's on you. For me to expect that to ever happen prior to that is foolish of me. And I wouldn't look at you and say this needs to stop, because now that's a change required by me, and that's going to be problematic. And to me, that's almost the doorstep to the ultimatum thing that happens a lot in relationships. It's either this or this. Well, if that's the choices, I'm going to go with option C, which is get the fuck away from me. No, you are not going to control me that way, because you've already chosen the other side of, well, if it's this, then that means it's not that. So go away. And that's just where I've come to from past problems. I'm not going to take stuff like that. So I most certainly wouldn't give somebody that kind of instruction either, which then comes to the other side of you need to quit this sort of thing. That to me is just a lighter way of manipulation of ultimatum, and that's just rude. There's no success there with that.
Yeah.
It's like a child you can accomplish that with.
Right.
Either clean your room or I'm kicking your ass.
Right.
The choice is yours.
Yeah.
And one of them is a consequence for failing to choose the other one.
Right.
And the other one's the only way you want to go, because that one's better not for just you, but for me and everybody else, and you learn responsibility.
Well, that's just the thing. If you're with somebody that treats you like you're a child, then you're not in a relationship.
Right.
You're in a parentship there, parent-child relationship. And if you don't want to be there, then don't, you shouldn't be there. If that's not the relationship that you want, if that's something you want, great, because there are people that like that.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at it and you're going, this probably isn't healthy for me, then get out. Because it shouldn't be like that.
Yeah.
Nobody should dictate, how you act, how you feel, how you look beside yourself.
Yeah.
Another one you have, that was just your frequency criticizes. I mean, in more of a humorous way, we ride each other's shit all the time.
Well, we do.
Right.
Yeah, but
That's what I'm talking about.
You do it a little more of an extreme. And
Probably.
you put a lot more intent behind it, too.
Well, and you're right. And there's probably something I could improve on. Because in my mind, it might be off of something that's factual. But at the same time, it's again coming from a perspective of an attempt at a perspective of humor, just because it's a way to deal with it, I guess. But it might not be perceived that way, and that's fine. That's your problem, not mine.
Nice.
Problem of 17 years? If I couldn't handle it, I wouldn't still be here. But I got to tell you, there are some times I'm like, that son of a bitch.
And you're probably rightfully so. So there's no problem with that.
But that kind of brings up another point: is people kind of think that you have to be so happy in love in order to be in a relationship. And that's not true. There are times that you can look at the other person and be like, you motherfucker, I fucking hate you right now. There are times where you can actually feel that. You may not mean it. You could even say it. Granted, I wouldn't recommend saying it to the other person, but there are times that you're going to feel that because that's what happens.
Yeah.
Think about just the relationship you have with your boss at work.
Yeah.
Some days you're like, oh, that was really nice, and that was really kind of him. I feel very appreciated. And the next day you're like, you fucking idiot.
Oh my God.
Right.
Yeah.
The reality of relationships is the ebb and flow. And that happens within, love relationships as well.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
So yeah, I guess from the point of criticizing it, if it's not, I guess if it's from a perspective of being a little harsh or negative or intent to harm, that's problematic. I guess I don't see that I do that, but maybe it's not taken that way. But again, not my problem. Not my chair, not my problem.
Nice.
Because I also do nice stuff, so it's all right. Let's see, what else did you have here? Pressuring for sex. Well, I don't pressure you, but...
Where are you reading?
And the same thing here.
Oh, you're still going over the same fucking paragraph?
I was
thought
talking
we were
about the same
past that.
stuff.
Okay.
Controlling behavior. Get your hand out of here.
Nice.
I don't control you. I encourage you to do whatever the hell you want. And most certainly you don't care anything about your money or monitor where you go. And I think that was one heck of a lesson learned thing in life that I guess that I take for myself and then project that to other people. I don't want to know anything about what the hell you're doing, where you're going, what's going on. That's your business unless you choose to share it. Beyond that, that's your life. And the funny thing about that is this person that we actually knew from party days recently, because I saw her on Facebook with the situation, and I said, hey, everything okay? And been chatting about her not so good relationship going on right now, and that actually came up, and I kind of said the same thing. I'm like, it shouldn't be any caring one way or the other what the hell's going on, because you have your life, they have their life, and where you choose to overlap that is where you choose to overlap that. If it's trying to be captured completely, you got a problem going on there. And so it's interesting that...
That's actually the whole reason that this came up, is because of the situation with the person that we all know, all three of us, calling up or texting Cheryl, freaking out, saying, oh, because Eric sent me naughty texts or whatever, way back in the day. Now my boyfriend thinks that, we actually had sex, and what am I supposed to do? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, are you kidding? We were all laughing about it because how ridiculous it was.
Right.
Because,
that's what she was saying, is that her boyfriend thought that it actually happened. It never actually happened. And I told her, I'm like, is your boyfriend really that insecure that he's going to think a guy twice your age is you're actually going to sleep with? And
well, let's just not, knock it, okay?
Oh boy. Wow.
No, it's a very good point, but the question, I'm curious on where the hell that's out nowadays. I'm just curious.
Oh, they
if,
posted a picture.
That's the thing,
The
though.
other day.
That's the other thing that was bringing this up is that there's all these couples that talk about they have all these issues and behind each other's backs, and when they're not around, oh my god,
Yeah.
he does this, she does that, da 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 da. Oh my god, we're gonna break up. I can't believe it. And then 3 days later, you see these posts on Facebook like we're so happy. I love my girlfriend so much. I love my boyfriend.
Right.
Really?
So I wonder if she actually took my advice and told him to fucking kick rocks, you know?
Yeah, I
like
doubt
if he's not
but-
gonna fucking believe you, then he's not worth even fucking trying to explain anything to, and tell him to fuck off and kick rocks. Maybe she did that, and then he bounced back. That's my hopes, but that's probably not what
I
happened.
never really know, but
I kind of have a stance on this situation here, and I know Eric does too. Even with people that are married or do think that they're happily married, if you have somebody that insists on knowing where you're going at all times,
Yeah, don't
insists that you
just-
text them back right away,
Right.
that you have to
Ew.
share money with, that
Yeah.
you can't, they have to look at your emails or whatever.
Right.
You can't have, friends of opposite sex or whatever. All of that shit,
Yeah.
that is bullshit, and you are in a relationship.
Yeah.
I don't care if you've been married for 25 years. If
Yeah.
you're required to do that and
Yep.
you're so controlled that you have to disclose all that stuff,
Yep.
you need to tell that person to fuck off because
Yeah.
you're not living.
Right. No.
You are
Kick
not
rocks.
living.
Yeah, the kick rocks. I know it's an old saying, but no, I agree. You're living in their controlled environment.
Yes.
You're like a rat in their own in their maze.
Their maze.
You can only go to this wall. You can only get maybe you'll get the cheese, and maybe I'll be happy with you one day, but then the next, let me see your phone, let me see your text message. You're in a maze, and you're never going to be happy.
And to be fair, I do think that there probably are people out there that are happy living with that straight jacket on because maybe they like that feeling of control. It keeps them in check or whatever. But I have to say, it cannot possibly be anywhere close to the people that are living out there with that now.
Right. I've actually was with a controlling boyfriend, and it was terrible. It was the
yeah.
worst. I couldn't look at people. I couldn't look at if there was another guy in the room that I didn't even know that was actually like one of his friends or his friends of his friends, and we went somewhere to a place that there were other people. If I accidentally glanced in the wrong way, it was a fucking fight afterwards. It's like, oh my god, I can't even fucking look at somebody? Really?
Yeah.
no, was that for anybody or only certain people?
Everybody.
Everyone.
Everybody
Yeah.
we ran into. If he noticed that I took a too long of a glance at somebody
Wow.
when they said hi to me, I had to basically look at the floor the entire time. Otherwise, I knew it was going to be a fight afterwards.
And it wasn't just a fight. I mean, he was abusive.
Yeah, he was abusive
Okay.
too. It was terrible. It was terrifying. Terrifying. I could talk to females, but I couldn't even. It was horrible. The worst situation I've ever been in.
That same relationship I was in, the example I gave before. There was a time I was going very rare occasion. I was going by myself to a friend's house to assist them with some stuff, and I don't remember exactly what it was all about. Left the house, drove over there. I wasn't there more than about 6 minutes, and the phone rang, asking when I was coming home.
Oh boy.
I was like, what? I just got here.
Yeah.
What the hell took you so long? What do you mean?
Oh my god.
It takes 18 and a half minutes to get here, and that's how long it's been.
I'm sorry I can't
And-
genie myself to the person's house.
The thing we're doing here is a few hours long. It's not going to be like a 6 minute. What the hell is taking that so long? It's like, what the hell? I told you what we were doing. I mean, well, you better be done in there in about 30 minutes.
Oh my god.
Well, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, 45 minutes goes by and the phone rings again. What the fuck are you doing?
Wow.
Waiting for the hookers. What the hell do you think we're doing? But I have, and I still to this day couldn't tell you what the concern was.
Yeah.
The guy was on house arrest. He couldn't go anywhere. Nobody could come over except the select few people he had written on a list,
Yeah.
for which I was one.
Yeah.
It wasn't. There was no situation that could have existed there that would have been problematic.
Yeah.
But that's what this person was about.
Had brought it to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And oh my
Creating
gosh.
a problem out of it because they needed the drama.
Yeah, right.
Needed the control.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Got home after that, and I was an asshole for, 15, 20 minutes, and it was like there was no issue ever. It's like, what the hell is going on?
Fight me because I'm bored.
Yep,
Right.
Pretty much. I think that is part of it. People get bored and they create their own drama
Oh,
too.
it's just unbelievable.
And they use situations. Now, and there's not to say that you can't ever feel jealousy. I mean, I know, Eric, you don't, but there have been times, even in our relationship, where he's like, okay, I'm going to study with some, chick from whatever. And I was like, whatever, and you're doing your college courses. And so I was like, okay, you know, he's going over there quite often, whatever, not a big deal. Well, then all of a sudden one night I'm like, boy, it's like, you know, 11 p.m. He's not home. Oh boy, it's 1 a.m. He's not home. And so I'm like texting him. I'm not getting any responses and everything. So of course you start, you know, you think the worst.
Yeah.
That's
Was there
what
even
happened.
text back then?
Yeah, there was text back then.
Oh, wow.
And I was getting mad because I was like, what the fuck? He's not responding to me. It's almost 3 a.m. and he walks in the door and I just about threw the phone through the freaking doorway at him. Like, what the fuck is going on? So it's not that you don't feel jealousy,
Right.
you know, but you don't act on it. And then, you know, it was just a conversation. I was like, what the fuck were you doing? It's almost 3 a.m. I didn't know what to think.
Yeah.
You know, of course I'm mad.
Yeah.
And he's all like, whoa, what's going on? It's fine.
Yeah.
Nothing, not a big deal.
Yeah.
Lost track of time. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not that you can't, you know, feel it, but you have to be able to discuss it too. And I think a lot of people can't.
Yeah,
So they just kind of explode.
I think you know, jealousy does get a bad rap, and it's easy to say don't be jealous. That's not a natural thing to do.
Right.
I really believe, as you were explaining, that it really matters how you deal with it and what you do with it. You know, it's okay to feel it, and of course, you want to erupt with it. It's triggering so many other things, but all those things are being created in your own mind as to where it's being taken.
Right. Well,
So it's not a beneficial way to go with it. You have to take a step back and go, okay, I was concerned. Because really the jealousy is just so many other little things going on. Concern, anger, worry.
Fear. Which
Fear,
triggers anger.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Loss. I mean, everything's just there. So you need to identify
Abandonment.
what took place, to see what the situation is, because all of that stuff is just being fueled by your own mind, because you don't know.
Right.
And that is probably the biggest aspect of it, which is then the fear, because you fear what you don't know.
Yeah.
And when you can't figure that out and get the information immediately to settle that, you fly off. And
Yeah.
that's not the way to use or work with the jealousy emotion. You have to step back and go, I was a little worried, and what I wasn't expecting this time frame, whatever the situation is. What happened?
Right.
It's good that you're okay. I feel worried, but I don't know why.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's okay to express those things that way. The person can go, there's nothing to worry about. This, I know it was getting late. I was like, it's kind of late. Continue on, blah, blah, blah. It's like, geez, better get going. And then another subject, and it's like, oh, shit, you know, we got to stop now. It's like way too damn late. That kind of thing could have been easily explained, no big deal. And then, you know, things are settled out fine. But on the other side, when it's the eruption, well, that puts somebody else in defense.
Yeah.
And of course, then the way they respond is going to trigger and irritate other things, and then disbelief comes into play, and then before you know it, no matter what is said, it's not settled, not accepted, and everybody's pissed off. So what got resolved?
Right.
And over what? Somebody's mind creating a situation that wasn't the situation,
Right.
but because that's the only thing you know, that's what you believe.
Yeah. Yep.
People have a hard time, you know, letting go of that stuff. But
In our radio show that we like so much, you know, when they talking about this the other day, is that
the radio show.
our KQ.
KQ? Oh, we can
Yeah.
say the morning
Okay,
show.
okay.
KQRS. Tom Barnard in the morning.
Yes, Tom
That's
Barnard.
all okay.
They were talking about this, is that, you know, and he we've been saying this for like years, is that the next generation is just, they're not going to know how to deal with uncomfortable situations and feelings and emotions, and being told something that they don't want to hear, or something that, you know, being told the word no. And I think that that's what it is fear triggers not only a mental state of mind, but also emotional state of mind, where you physically feel like you just can't get comfortable, and you have this like body shaking, you know, so you can't rest, you can't ease your mind until you hear something from that person, or some kind of response saying, hey, I'm okay. You know, so not communicating is a big thing, but also learning, I don't know, the capabilities of dealing with that situation also come into play, where it's like, if you've never dealt with that situation before, your first reaction is going to freak out, you know?
Right. And with the the generation you're talking about with today, what are we seeing?
Right. That's terrible. Oh my God, it's going to be even
People getting
worse.
punched, people getting shot, stabbed, killed.
They need safe hiding places because
Right.
their
And that's not even a relationship.
It's like,
That's
oh my God.
things beyond an
It's so
element of control
scary.
you even have.
It's so scary. Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, communication really is the key.
Yeah.
You have to have good communication, and if you don't have good communication, you need to create it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I think this is some, I don't know if this is ever coming up here, but something that we had talked about when you get into your committed style relationship. Right off the beginning, you're learning how one another communicates, and the worst thing you can do is assume you communicate the same, because the way you use words, the way you use the definitions of words, and how you put things together, and what you mean is in your head, and they're not going to know that until you've had a lot of discussions over years to understand to get the misunderstandings, to then work them out and say, oh, I get what you mean now. Oh, that makes sense. But it doesn't have to blow up. Just, I'm confused. This is what you're telling me, and this is what I understand. And then they can explain back, no, this is what I mean. Oh, okay. That's just what life is. And no matter how much time goes by, if you think you've got that figured out, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be some times where you're going to be like, what the hell did you say that for? What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
And then it's, well, this, and that. I'm like, well, that's this and this. No, that's it. Okay, what the hell? What's going on? Okay, I don't know what the fuck you're saying.
Right.
And then, you iron that out. I'm like, oh, I get it now. You're speaking like a moron because this is what you meant, but this is what you're saying to
Except
me.
you don't say that part.
Right. Well, we do. In reality, most people can't handle hearing it
You
that
do,
way.
and I brush it off. No,
Good point. Absolutely, that's where it goes. You're a fucking idiot. I get it now. Perfect example. No, and really, that's what it comes down to. And if you're going to be in a relationship, that's every day. And don't try to. I guess, in my own opinion, don't try to figure the person out. If you're trying to figure them out, you're trying to solve a puzzle, and then once you do that, you're done. Well, so once you've solved that puzzle, what now?
Yeah.
Don't try to figure them out. Every day is a new thing, and everybody changes. So that's the picture on that puzzle is never going to stay the same. Mm-hmm. So what's the point?
Yes.
Learn. Just keep learning. And that works out. But
did you have a point to make?
Yes, everybody communicates differently. I found this out. Well, I mean, I've known this, but the other day I was
moving
talking.
in here, you found that out.
Yes. Well, I mean, it happens in everyday every life or everyday situation. One of my coworkers, I was trying to explain something to her, and I said it like 3-4 times, and I'm like, okay, so this with this, and then this, and then this. And she's like, wait, no, let's not do that. And I'm like, wait, no, why not? And so I went over it like 3 different times, and I could tell my voice was kind of getting a little bit louder. And she's like, well, I'll get back to you on this. Don't make any decisions right now. And so she went back to her desk, and then she sent me an email saying, oh, okay, now that I've reviewed this is much clearer. I understand what you're saying, because I just wasn't saying it in the format that she needed it to process to her brain, which I understand happens, and I apologize. I'm like, I'm sorry, I wasn't explaining that clear. I just kept getting louder, thinking that's going to help the situation, which it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Were you saying the same words while you were getting louder? Yeah,
Yes.
that's helpful.
And
I'm
that's, yeah. Even when you're in a long-standing relationship or whatever, there are times that you're just like, what planet are you from? Like, you just, no matter what you do, you can't communicate.
Right.
I think it was our very early years. I think it was year 3, Eric and I. You remember this? It was getting to the point where we were both probably going to be done. And we ended up going to counseling for communication. And then we ended up bringing the kids in, and then it became family counseling.
I always thought we brought the boys there originally, and then we took advantage after that fact. I always have it that way. I don't know why it's.
Yeah, I kind of thought it was the other way around, but maybe you're right. I thought in my mind we went there for communication because, we didn't know it at the time, but we were driving each other up the wall. Why? Because every time we got into an argument, which back then was pretty often, I would want to solve it right then and there, and Eric would want to run away. because guys need their time to like decompress, and I'm like, you're not even gonna think about it, are you? Come back here and fight me. You know? He's like, get the fuck away from me. I gotta leave this house. You know, because men and women communicate in very different ways. So even when you're in a relationship and things are going, you know, you just can't seem to talk about something.
Yeah.
You have to find certain ways. I don't care how many years you've been in the relationship. There's nothing wrong with saying, okay, we need help because you're not hearing me, I'm not hearing you. We need to find a way where we can hear each other and what we're trying to say. And then even if we can't come to some conclusion, we can at least agree to disagree. Yeah. But people can't even get to that point sometimes. So that's why if you need help, do it. Yeah. Eric's not a big proponent for that, but right?
Well, no, I think the counseling, you know, that we benefited from was a higher benefit with the children, and it wasn't that we didn't have a benefit from it. We definitely took a lot of good things from there, but there was aspects of it that weren't as pleasant, that were not even things we could iron out with between the counselor and us more so than us.
Well, it's because she was a man-hater.
Seeming to be, and I hate to place her that way, but
it's true. It was true.
According to her, I was controlling you, and apparently I want to know your bank account, where you're going, and I never did anything like that. So I never understood how that ever came across. So that experience made things a little more difficult to, because
she targeted you with certain words, and and I saw that too.
And so, you know, in all, it's not that it isn't a good thing to do that, because it is very, very helpful to get assistance in that way, because you have a mediator there to assist you in explaining the things you're misunderstanding and why you're misunderstanding them, and not so much what it is you're misunderstanding, just the reasons why you're misunderstanding.
Or help you think of things in maybe a different light that you hadn't thought of, where you may think it's very concrete, and then they offer a suggestion, you go, oh, maybe it could be that.
Right, because you've already solved the problem in your head and know the conclusion, and then you're not getting that, so then, you know, you're angry about it. It's like, no, there are other reasons, and you need to find that. And I don't think we necessarily had situations like that, but we definitely had the lack of understanding. This person has the thought process of this needs to be resolved in the next 20 minutes or the planet's going to explode. And this person has the perspective of let the fucking planet explode, because if we're not going to solve this for 14 minutes past that, fine. But we need to just calm it down a bit.
You notice how the first person was an idiot and the second person wasn't? I wonder why that was.
No, there's just a stronger side of the fence of being another idiot waiting for the end to just happen. You know?
I get it.
But, you know, then once you have somebody looking at you going, no, that's okay. Even though that's the reality of the situation, you're less liable to accept it. And then when this mediator's there that's supposed to be a professional, so you have that trust in them, they look at you and say, no, that's okay. I know you don't want that way, but it's okay that it's that way. You just need to be able to work with that and understand that push is going to come from them. So just be patient with it and just explain you need the time. Or the other side of the fence is you're pushing, and that's pushing them further. So you got to kind of back that down, and don't worry, they want to resolve it. You need to understand the patience that they're trying to have, and you know, then you'll come together. In learning that, you'll find out. One side will say, okay, I can wait, and the other side will start going, okay, I'm going to try to solve this faster because I know they want it. You know, so eventually it works out, and you find that capability because of that person. They're telling you it's okay, it can work that way. Yeah,
because trying to understand it from the other person's perspective when you're upset is not something that comes naturally to us.
Right.
So having somebody, an intermediary person, saying, well, possibly it's this or possibly it's that, or, you know, that's all right if you feel that way. You just can't, you know, throw cups at them.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
and there really should be a disclaimer out there that even counselors, as professional as they come, You're talking to somebody about your stuff. You get to know them. They get to know you. There may be things that you're not telling them or that you have told them and maybe not followed up with enough information where they see you in a certain light, or they have their own baggage. Most people get into counseling or psychiatry because they have issues.
Yeah.
So you do have to determine, okay, is that me or is that them?
Yeah.
And if you're nuts, unfortunately, that makes it harder because then you might not be able to identify that. But
Right.
if you're trying to be as healthy as you can be, you'll start to see patterns and go, okay, that may not be me. Let's just, keep that on the back burner. But, we're making progress here. We're feeling good. And if you feel good when you leave, that's good.
Yeah.
That's the benefit. If you feel like shit, go to somebody else. You should not walk out of there feeling bad, even if you're the asshole that, isn't communicating correctly, because you should feel hope.
Yeah.
Even if they can identify, even if they can look at you straight in the session and go, you're being an asshole.
Right.
And this is why. They should follow it up with, but here's how we can change it if you're willing. That person should still be able to walk out with a hopeful outlook going, yeah, I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
Let's get into a fight right now. Let's practice, So the second thing on here is having realistic expectations, which I think is right where this conversation is leading into. Unrealistic expectations about what your partner can do also shape how you feel about your relationship. If you're expecting to see your partner a few times a week, that's pretty reasonable. But expecting to spend all of your free time with them together, that's going to feel smothering to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yes. Maybe not everyone, especially the ones that love to post on Facebook all the time and say, look how happy we are.
Right.
But yeah, it's going to be smothering.
And they're really not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're saying adjusting the expectations and communicating that will help the relationship. And I 100% agree with that, you know.
Yeah.
I can't turn around and say, Eric, I feel pretty unappreciated because you never buy me flowers. I expect that you buy me flowers. It's never going to happen.
Right.
It's not going to happen.
Got that right.
He's not a flowers guy. I know that.
Grow your own and pick them.
Yeah.
And I would say that's kind of an extreme explanation, but just it drove a very good point, and I hope people got that. With the, I guess on the giving part of it, you should never expect anything like that from anybody. I don't care who you are. And if you're going to identify that, it's romantic crap. First of all, look up the definition. Romantic is a false thing. It's fantasy. That's not romance. It's not romantic. It was a kind gesture. Just accept that. So don't expect that kind of crap.
And it's not required.
No, not at all. Because if you're hooked onto that thing where a guy buys a girl everything all the time and shit like that, you're already fucked up.
Yeah.
You got no hope until you find somebody who's living in that same world.
Right.
A gentleman opens the door.
Right.
Or,
It's 2017.
That's right.
Wake up.
Or we're going to have sex 4 times a night, or 4 times a
missionary
week.
style.
Right, exactly. And it goes
one
both
leg
ways
up.
for the men, too.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
you can't expect a whole lot one way or the other. Expectations are probably, in my eyes, the worst. Until you identify really what your expectations are and present them to the other person, and they present theirs, so you know what they expect, and you have clearly made yours. Okay, now I can make a decision from there going, I don't think I want to be around you, because I'm not going to ask you not to expect that if that's really what you want, but that's not going with me. When your expectations come to 0, we're perfect, because that's to me is logical.
I would like to have sex in the pile driver position, and she goes, I'm sorry, I'm in a wheelchair. That's unrealistic.
Right. Well, I tell you what, we'll strap some corks around your ass and dip your head in a pool. Can you hold your breath for a while?
Right. How long can you hold your breath?
Yeah.
I mean,
we'll give you a
again,
hose.
It's ridiculous, but it's extreme, but that's just to highlight that people really do think of stuff like that,
Right.
Like, oh my gosh, he never, pays for dinner. I always have to pay for dinner. It's like, well, then say something.
Yeah.
Why are you expecting it?
Right.
Communicate that. Be like, do I have to pay this time? I paid the last 4 times.
Yep.
Because there might be in somebody else's mind a rationale going on with that.
Yeah.
Like maybe they're paying for other stuff, and so they're thinking, hey, this is fair. That in their mind seems logical, but so don't flip it. Say, do you mind picking this one up, or do you think I should? I mean, ask the question. Don't be accusatory. And they say, well, maybe we need to identify this because I seem to be paying for dinner all the time. And is that what you're expecting or whatever? And they say, no, I thought, as I'm paying for this all the time. And, well, it's not really, in my eyes, evening out.
Right.
Maybe we should just, cut it down the middle. You pay for your meal, I'll pay for mine, and we'll pay for our own movie tickets because this is getting too expensive for me because that side of the fence is a little cheaper. Mm-hmm. And if that's just within your budget, then this is outside of my budget. We're going to have to tone this down. I mean, those things can come out, and it's not a problem. It's just, don't come out throwing punches with it and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then there's a bunch of kind of just little snippets on when you're in a bad relationship, things that happen or things that could be going on. We can go through some of these. There's 51 of them, so there's way too many.
Okay.
Oh gosh, no.
And I do have the website right here, Eric, as I'm marking it right now. Not that everybody on the radio can hear that.
Well, they heard the pen click.
Hear the pen click. Okay. So to start with that, one of the points is you never turn to each other for emotional support. You look to other people first. Do you guys experience that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of my friends do that, too. And, I mean, I don't know. I guess I can't say that I blame them, but...
It's like, I can't talk to him about that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's got to be everything for you.
It's a lot. No,
Oh, yeah.
no, very few issues can I not talk to you about.
Well, you must feel horrible. I never come to you with an emotional problem.
Nice.
You don't, but you also don't go to anybody else either. You
Good
just
point.
stuff it down. Stuff it down.
Freeze it
Bottle
down.
it down.
Bottle it down. Gonna have a stroke with my banana pancakes.
Banana pancakes. Oh, this one's a good one. Is if your partner actively tries to cut you off from your support network of friends and family. We've experienced that multiple times, both in relationships with you and I, where the guy didn't like the family or didn't like the friends or whatever. Oh, you can't hang out with them.
Yeah. It's like, who the fuck are you going to tell me I can't hang out with my family?
Mm-hmm.
Get the fuck
You
out
insane.
of here. Yeah.
You had the same experience, didn't you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Was kind of, well, in a very manipulative way, pushed my own family away because it was manipulated to the point of me seeing them being against me.
Yep.
So that I would then take the initiative to push them away and be cruel and rude and mean to them so that it would be accepting of them that I was pushing them away because it aided in that control.
Yep.
And yeah, it's an unpleasant
And
situation.
that's an extreme side of manipulation where they're not getting their hands dirty. They're just cunning enough to make you do it.
Right.
And that does happen
Because
quite
it's
often.
that support system is a threat to them that they're not going to be able to anticipate enough and or work with to be able to maintain that level of control.
Yeah. If you're cut off, if your spouse tries to cut you off from your family or friends, it's just disgusting.
Yeah.
You know, they want you to be by yourself so that you will only be dependent on them. And they can threaten to break up with you at any time because you have nobody else because you've already gotten rid of your family and
Right.
friends. How fucking sick. Just sick and manipulative.
And then we justify it to ourselves, being like, well, she's this or he's that, or
Right.
They're the most wonderful person in the world.
But
because
they
they're
don't
helping
have
me.
the same kind of outlook that I do. Blah blah blah.
Right.
I don't want to make them feel alone. We come up with so many crazy
Yeah.
excuses to make it okay. But if you find yourself doing that, then you need to take another look.
Yeah. Oh, my family member said something bad to them, so I get it. No. They said something bad to them because it's true. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, we recently had a situation where Eric said something that upset our brother.
Yeah.
And what was the thing? It's not, oh my God, screw him. Nobody talked to him or anything. It's like, do you want to come over and talk about it?
Yeah.
Like today? Yeah. It's like, well, come here. Let's get together. Let's powwow about this. That's crazy, you know? And then that
fine.
happened and everything was fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's a classic example of what we're talking about when it comes to communication. I mean, he heard me say something that I don't deny saying, because I'm sure I said it, and I've said it 100 times, and I'll say it 1,000 more. And it bothered him to hear that in the way that he heard it in the situation, because he didn't know what the intent was, or where it was coming from, or why. And it could have been just he ended up walking into it at the wrong time.
Right.
It could have been he had some other topic going on, and that came across. So then it just melded in his head that was part of that.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been anything, but he didn't know that it was a complete humorous thing. It had no meaning behind it, and it was just ironed out, and we understood that he doesn't like that, and that's fine. And too bad for you. But you had pointed out something in here that was interesting about the cutoff of other people, and something else. There was the piece before it too, something about expectations or whatnot. And
You don't turn to each other for emotional.
the emotional thing.
Emotional support.
Here's a thing that might be a little beyond of what just that is. What that is just saying on its own is when you're in a relationship, you have to understand. People as an individual have many, many needs above and beyond what can be explained or expressed in a single sitting. I mean, we can't think of them all while we're sitting here, because you think of what you need right now, which isn't much, and then tomorrow those needs are different. I mean, they fluctuate. And a reason, I should say, why it's so bad to be cut off from those things is because you have other relationships that settle those needs, whatever they may be. It might be that half of one of those emotional things that this other person just is able to understand. And it's not that the other person wouldn't understand it or doesn't. The help that they have just doesn't seem to work with you. So it's another source, perhaps. It's maybe you need multiple sources just to settle that one, because that's how you work. And so when people are trying to cut that stuff off, you're losing a lot of your needs being met. And that's what makes that so bad. Not one person can satisfy everybody's needs. It just doesn't work.
No. Right.
Unless you're me, which I don't need anything. So
Nice.
it's okay. But there are and I'm trying to go from one extreme to the other, where there are some people like Justin's wife. It's not that she's needy, but she is a very social person. If she didn't have the amount of people to interact that she does, that chick would be a nutcase, because that is just part of her personality. She needs those things, and it isn't for anything that's preventing her from being happy in life. That is just an aspect that is a piece of her happiness, and and she can go without it. It's not like it's an addiction to her, but Justin can't satisfy all that. He just can't. He could try as hard as he can. He's just not going to be able to accomplish that, because his character doesn't match a lot of the other friends that she has.
And that, along with a lot of other aspects, makes me very hopeful that they're going to make it. They seem right for each other, because she understands that he can't give her that. She wants him to go out with her and spend time with her friends, and he tries once in a while to do it, but then he's like, I can't keep doing it. I can't do this every weekend. I can't do it 3 days in a row. I can maybe do it once a month, maybe.
Right.
And she's just like, but she's like, okay, I understand that. She's like, so I'm just going to go, and then I'll see you when I get home. Right. So because she understands that, and because he understands what she wants and that he can't give it to her on both sides of the fence, and they still are able to work it out. That's what I'm like, good. That's really good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And understanding that from one person or the other person is huge. Maybe you want to spend time with them right now, but there's some needs they have, and they need to go. So you're going to have to just relax for a while. They'll come back. It's okay. They're not walking out the door and never returning. That's, you're not going to miss anything. It's okay.
Yeah.
I cannot be a horse.
Right.
And you have no desire to be around them.
Right. Despite my anatomy does prove otherwise.
Nice.
I cannot be a horse completely.
Wow.
My number's 911, ladies.
Nice.
And then he gets creepy on me, which brings us to our next point. Your partner doesn't respect your answer when you say no to something.
Oh gosh, I thought it was going to say something along the lines of creepy.
Nice.
Oh, wow, this is going right down the page.
Okay, stop being creepy, Eric. No.
What? No, you don't. We're in the middle of something here.
So another one is your partner implies that you only have one value, whether it be sex, your looks, your ability to earn money or whatever, you are only good for one thing.
Wow.
And you've heard people say that to their spouses, whether they're kidding or not. We've actually heard this.
Yeah.
People say things like that.
You're
But
good for
wasn't-
one thing.
Yeah. You didn't do that one thing or whatever.
Oh,
you'd
yeah.
be done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. It definitely comes up in a different way.
Yes.
But if there wasn't that one thing, we'd be done. It's
Mm-hmm.
what the hell?
Oh, you've told me that, but in a joking way.
Right. Well, I admit men in general are good for one thing only, and most of them aren't even good at that. So beyond that, we're pointless. So it's not that I don't have anything to say to that. But
And another one is they make you feel stupid, either by telling you or demeaning you. That's a big one. I think that happens quite often.
I think that's part of that controlling factor as well.
Yep.
Which keeps people in a position of feeling inferior. So then they're more compliant and less likely to erupt or come out with anything because they're insecure. So wow, that's actually pretty interesting that can get linked to that relatively well.
And there's you can't identify any ways that you've positively influenced each other, and you can identify ways that you've negatively influenced each other. So those are two big ones. Like, for instance, for the positive would be like, you haven't adopted any of each other's interests or taught each other any new skills. Like, what new skills? Okay, for instance, just taking us. I learned fishing.
Yeah, good
For
point.
you, and I ended
For
up
me?
loving
Oh,
it.
no.
I
From
did
me.
it for you because I was like, I'm going to go spend time with Eric. I'm going to learn how to fish because he's really into it, and I ended up loving it. But it was my decision. It wasn't, it's not like you said, come fishing with me.
Okay,
I was
that's
like,
better.
I'll try it. No.
That's one thing that always frightens me. It's like, I did it for you. Don't you do anything for me. I don't want that ever. So when you say it like that, it's like, what? Whoa, what the hell do I owe you now? And it's not that you
No.
expect that I owe you. It's just, to me, that it's almost like, oh, great, that's not gonna be good. Doing it for another person, that's just not good. So I understand what you're saying. That's just frightening to hear it that way.
Yeah, well, it's not meant to be frightening. It just,
I get you.
yeah. I mean, it wasn't something that I would have done on my own if you weren't in the picture.
So there was an influence of that,
Yes.
is what you're
so
saying.
it's a positive influence.
Sure.
It's like, okay, I'll just try it, And on my side, I will say it for you because you probably can't identify it, but there are movies that you've ended up watching and TV shows that you really ended up liking because of me. So,
Give one example.
Star Trek,
Hate it.
South Park,
Hate it.
Archer.
It's stupid.
Sure, that's why our cats are named after characters.
Right. No, that's a good point. Dude. Stuff that's there. So, along with the fishing line, the negative thing is that now you like Billy Joel.
True. Yes, I hated Billy Joel before, and we ended up fishing, and I heard it about 1,000 times, and I realized I was singing the song, and I turned around and I said, I fucking hate you.
I love it.
Like, I like Billy Joel now. I fucking hate you. That's, and I think that's important, too, is it doesn't say that on here or whatever, but I think having a sense of humor and understanding the sense of humor is a huge relationship perk.
I'm honestly, I'm surprised that's not something that's on there. Well, I think that's more of a list compiled to look for things that make a problem.
Danger zones.
Danger zones, yeah. And having a sense of humor in life in general is just the best thing to have, and you can't ever lose it. And I know there are times where it's not appropriate to have, but even in those times, even the worst times, you need to have that to some degree. Otherwise, you just go nuts. And when you're in a relationship with somebody that's, a long-term committed deal, you got to understand how to laugh in one another's perspectives on humor. And sometimes you don't necessarily get it, or I hate to say don't like it, but you might not be fond of their style of humor, but it's funny to them. So just let that go. Don't be offended by it. It's not going to point anybody out, but I know there are some people we know of that have a hard time dealing with the other person's humor, and I'm suspecting he tones that down a little bit just for them, and I disagree with that.
Yes.
just because it shouldn't have to happen. And
Shouldn't have to change things about yourself, especially the things that your friends find like the best thing about you.
Right,
It's like you
right.
get along with your friends because you're funny. Well, then if your girlfriend's sitting there going, why do you always have to be funny? That's a red flag.
or why do you find that funny?
Yeah.
It's like, because
Why
it's
do you find
funny.
that funny? Because I don't have a stick up my ass, or I mean, it's stuff like that. Really,
Oh, absolutely,
It's
and I agree.
How dare anybody question somebody's sense of humor?
Right.
Even if it's crass, even if you think it's disgusting or whatever, they laugh at fart jokes, and you look at them like they're 5. If that's what they think is funny, that's what they think is funny.
Exactly.
You can't judge them on their sense of humor.
It's very personal, and yeah, it's you don't have to agree with it, but you don't have to knock it either, because it's like going to a comedy show. There's probably some parts of it you're gonna go, yeah, that's funny, but it's not like rolling funny like other parts are hitting you. It's no different. Just let it be.
One of the big ones I see a lot today is they don't have a sense of relationship security. They've either broken up or almost broken up several times. And I don't know about you, honey, but especially with these younger millennials, kind of feels like the majority of them are on the verge of breaking up every other day.
Yeah.
Almost like Elaine and Putty.
Yeah.
We're broken up for at least an hour.
Yeah. For an hour. Well, we're kind of together, but I'm seeing somebody right now.
Yeah. Because
it doesn't make any sense.
And really, I think social media does have something to do with that, because we had that experience with one of our old friends. He was in a relationship and he was trying desperately so hard to make it work. His parents were against it, so then he marries her.
Sure.
It's like you're trying to do so many things in front of other people, like outward displays of, gross, unacceptable shows of affection in public that are, almost bordering on obscene.
Right.
It's like they're trying so hard. And the same thing with social media. Now it's even easier. You just post all these pictures of you guys happy together.
And post the bad ones.
Yeah, singing the damn Beatles song or whatever. We're there, look at us, we're so perfect. Who are you trying to convince?
Yeah, and really, with that question, it's themselves.
Yeah.
That's really the
It
answer, even though to them it's we want people to see how happy we are. Yeah, why? Because you're seeing how happy you're not. That's the only reason why you need to push it on other people, so that people can then return it to you and say, "Oh, you look so happy." So then you'll believe that you are. If you need to, and that is definitely a point we've made just in passing conversation. People that do that they are the definition of an unhappy couple.
Or at
Because
least
they're-
insecure.
Well, yeah, I would say that insecurity would go hand in hand with some dissatisfaction.
Yeah.
And they're trying to convince other people to believe they're happy, so that communication from them will be that they're happy.
Right.
And so then they can have that false hope or that belief in something that's just not there. Well, it must be here, even though we don't see it, because everybody else does. Well, no, they're seeing the picture you're painting. And so what else would they assume?
And it's not that you can't put pictures or even shows of appreciation on Facebook. Like for the longer standing couples, the people that we've known for years and years, or people I know that have been married for like 20 years plus, they might put something once in a while, be like, oh, it's my husband's, birthday, or it's my wife's birthday. I can't believe that I've been married to my best friend for this long, blah, blah, blah. Just something, it's sweet, but it's not overly sugary.
Right.
And it's more out of appreciation than it is, look how wonderful we are.
Right. There was probably just a couple of days ago, a little connection to this, little
Okay.
off. Well, many years ago, a patient I had passed away, and I know their daughter, their son, daughter's spouse, and her husband, the patient's husband, and recently he passed away. Well, for the last year or so, they must have known he was ill, because I didn't know why, but there was a lot of pictures going up of the daughter and dad going out, and I could see in some of the pictures he didn't look like he was doing so well, but he's pretty old man.
This isn't the Holocaust custom.
Yes.
Oh, wait, it is.
Yep.
Oh no.
And
They were so nice.
oh, they're sweet people. And so yeah, you would see all these happy moment pictures of recent, but as you were pointing out, there's justification behind it. There's reason behind that. And even before Rochelle passed away, there's always pictures of the patient and the husband, elderly couple. They weren't posting it, other people were, but they were enjoying as much of life as they could because it was short. And
people saw that and appreciated it.
yeah, absolutely. And they had a lot of history, so that's a little different story behind that. But but that situation, it was warranted versus when you see these, 18-year-olds and 23-year-olds, and there's selfies up the ass, and then these couple pictures together, and then there's 700 of them, and you don't see anything from them for 4 or 5 months, and there's another 600 of them. And they weren't from the last 4 or 5 months, but those next 600 was just from the last week and a half.
Yeah, and then behind the scenes, the day that they post it, they've texted about 3 friends talking about, oh my God, I think we're going to break up.
Yeah, that's what's really happening. And it's like, I could have told you that just from the pictures you posted on Facebook, because you're a fucking idiot.
And not saying that that's just a kid thing either. This happens to people our age and older.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It happens to everybody of all ages.
Because it's become a Band-Aid kind of thing.
Yep.
And even before social media, it was, there'd be photos being taken, and here's a picture of us, that you'd be showing these happy pictures, and the gossipy shit amongst friends about how great everybody is and how wonderful, well, not how great everybody, how great we are and how wonderful we are and how wonderful they are. And I just love them so much and blah, blah, blah. And it hurts me so much that they're just not here with me. It's like, are you out of your fucking mind?
Mm-hmm. And even before that, then there's, laying down, groping, taking up a 4-person couch at a Super Bowl party.
Oh, yeah.
That's just
what the hell
obnoxious displays of, oh, look how much we love each other. We can't keep our hands off each other. It's a Super Bowl party. Maybe you should put your hands in the chip bowl.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
After you wash them.
Yeah.
After you wash them. So it's been happening forever. It just, I think social media has made it more
Yeah, it's just,
prominent.
Made it obvious in that light. But
Yeah.
And taking it a few years, forward, because, we do kind of think of that as like a millennial or younger kid thing, the Facebook stuff or whatever. Taking it in the future, and this is where the danger, I think, comes when all of a sudden you have kids involved, right? So now you have kids that are kind of witness to a not-so-good relationship. And one of the things on this is you end up doing things that you're ashamed of in the course of interacting with each other, such as screaming at each other in front of your kids. Mm-hmm. I think that happens quite often.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And there's the two sides of that wall that often are not seen because the wall's so high. Mm-hmm. That alone is a bad thing. And when it's happening, there's obviously problems. Mm-hmm. But kids are a lot smarter than people give them credit for, and they see a lot more than you can imagine. And they're watching your every move and your every action because they're learning from you, a parent, what a relationship is about and how to act in one, how to treat the other person.
From the time that they're born.
Exactly.
Whether they can understand English or not. They can understand inflection. They can understand emotion.
They can understand action.
Yep.
They're learning. And so when your children start getting relationships and they're abusive and they're assholes and they're bitches, that's because you are. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they've watched you do that and they think that's how you do it. And until they learn on their own the hard way and choose then to change that, they're always going to be like that. Mm-hmm. So even though you don't necessarily scream or yell in front of them or have a dispute in front of them, they're going to see it, the aftermath, the before, and they're going to mimic that. So it's one thing to not let them see that, but it's another thing to also explain to them what's happening and why, and conduct yourself appropriately. And when that stuff can't happen, you need to stop that and get away from that relationship, because these kids need to see what a positive relationship is. And if you two can't do it, then don't try.
Right. And it's not something like, oh, well, daddy's very upset right now. Or, well, mommy's just a little crazy. Mm-hmm. People tell their kids that. They don't understand the implications. It's like, no, you do not bring kids into your personal problems. And if you have that many personal problems where you can't keep it away from them at all, then, that needs to be looked at. Regular problems, they're going to see that.
Right.
But you sit them down, you explain it, and be like, yeah, we're having a disagreement right now, kids. Mm-hmm. So maybe you shouldn't be in the room because we're real mad at each other, and you're going to hear stuff you don't want to hear.
Yeah.
We need to talk about this, and it might get a little heated.
Right.
And it's going to happen. But you got to show them how to appropriately deal with it, how it starts, how it ends, and so they understand that, and how then day-to-day life happens after that, which hopefully is returned to a positive thing, which it was before that, because otherwise you're raising them to be just as bad as you are in a relationship, which is just going to be a relationship every day of their life, and they've got nobody to blame but you as a parent.
They look at that like that's normal. That's what you're supposed to do.
Right.
So people that are in relationships have to wake up, especially if you have kids, and go, what am I teaching my kids? Even if it's mildly dismissive. Yeah. I can't tell you how many times, honey, where I would say something to the boys, and he would kind of be like, well, I don't know if we have to go like that. I would instantly, in my mind, imagine, okay, was that bad? Like, did he just undermine my authority? Because that would be really bad. Yeah. What can I do to salvage this? I mean, almost in a freaked out manner, just to make sure that I didn't lose any kind of, like,
Trust
stance,
factor,
right?
yeah,
And when I did, I would have to let him know, and then he would need to come in to back it up and be like, well, I don't mean because it's stupid or anything. I mean, because with the logic, you need to back it up with the logic.
Right.
And if there is no logic behind it, then that's when you're like, okay, we need to talk about this further. Yeah. And hopefully not be crazy people.
I don't know if it had happened exactly that way, but I'm sure there was a time or two we were like, well, look, we're going to need to discuss that to make sure it's accurate. So for right now, let's just don't worry about that, kids. And then we'd figure it out and say, oh, yeah, this is what we're talking about. Because then we'd both be on the same page. And, that's just, I guess in my eyes, that's good parenting. That's what you should be doing. Yeah, if you disagree with the statement right at the moment, just like, well, let's hold on that for a second. And I'm sure it wasn't always presented in the best way.
But you can't do it perfect, I mean, it's never going to be in the best way, but as long as you're keeping that focus in mind, I think that's important.
Right. And then later on, following up with that's a big deal too when we're talking about children. But yeah, I think one of the worst things ever is to stay in a relationship when you have kids, because the kids are there. I want them to have their father. I want them to have their mom. I want them to grow up in a household with two parents. Really? That's like saying you want them to grow up with a gun in one hand and a knife in the other. That's not good either. What's better is to take one of them away. Even better yet, take them both away if that's the items they're holding in their hand. But, that's not a good reason to stay together. And older generations, you might have looked at it from that perspective because women didn't work. So then that division created a situation where the dad would obviously be the one leaving, and mom would be with kids and no income, and that's a problem. So then that made sense at that point. But nowadays, people are independent, male or female, and people can be more rational in taking care of children, hopefully, but not in reality. So when the relationship is turned to shit, then you need to just start living to take care of these kids and to bring them up correctly. And if that means you two not being in the same household, and that's what it needs to be.
Well, it's kind of the same thing as some people will think, well, I don't get a divorce because of my religion, because I don't believe in it. Again, you need to evaluate, is your relationship with your religion a relationship or a relationship? I'm not saying your religion's wrong, but maybe how you're thinking of it is wrong if it's going to cause your children to grow up in a situation that's not best for them. So because you're no longer alone. It's not just you in this relationship. It's you and these other people.
That's right.
So that's what you have to consider. And that's why you really have to consider getting out if these things are happening to you, Yeah. Another thing is if your partner is dismissive of your emotions, especially fear. So if they're like driving super fast and you're afraid and they won't slow down, that's a problem. That's a big problem. And they're laughing. I mean, that's even worse, right?
Yeah.
I think she's trying to tell me something.
No, not you. You don't do that.
No, I remember a situation when I was with Brian.
Yeah,
and
that's fine.
We were driving down the road in Minneapolis on the freeway, and he was not in his right state of mind. He was on something. I don't remember what the fuck he took. But I was on nothing, and I'm like, oh my God, you're all over the road. I'm in the passenger side. And I'm like, you're going to hit this person. So I'm trying to correct his steering. Like, as he's driving, like,
oh boy.
we're like this far away from the person, and I'm like, oh my God, you have to move the fuck over. And he's just like, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna fucking die. I'm gonna die in this situation. I'm gonna die. He's not paying attention to his driving. It's terrible. So, and he actually got mad at me and said, if you touch the steering wheel again, I'm gonna drop you off at a gas station and leave you. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
Yep.
And he crashed into a fucking cement corner, smashed up his car, just the front dent.
Well, you were in it.
Yeah, yeah. He ran into a fucking. He was turning around somewhere in a fucking.
So you just hit like about 17 of those
Yeah.
points right there that we
Yeah.
read off.
Yeah, yeah. That's been just one relationship. God,
That was one night.
that was one night with one relationship. It was terrible. I'm like, really? And so I'm like, can I drive because I'm sober? You're not. And he's like, no.
It sounds like it was just a 3-block period in time.
Right. I'm like, am I going to make it home? This is when I was staying with Dad temporarily.
Yes, I
was
would like to be
am I
alive.
can I make it home alive possibly tonight? Because you're fucking being super
Oh my
controlling.
God,
It's terrible.
that's scary.
So I'm picking up from number 12 here. So number 12, your partner involves you in unethical activities such as lying on official forms you both end up signing. Yeah, I was involved with
That's
that.
right. You did a couple things.
Yeah, and I paid the price.
Unofficial forms?
Yeah, on official forms.
Lying. Oh, got you.
Unofficial
Okay.
forms,
Okay.
yeah. Signing
Oh, yeah.
signatures.
Yeah.
Actually, I just forged yours at the post office the other day.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Feel worse about yourself as a person than when you started the relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not reading them all. I'm just
Yeah.
going through. Yeah.
Yeah.
You end up being less confident, see fewer positive qualities about yourself, things like that.
Yep.
The friend that I'm talking to recently in the last week or so, that's she just brought that up today. That the funny thing is, she said when they got married, she had seen some red flags.
Who the fuck? I can't even imagine
this
what you're
was-
talking about. Okay.
A couple years ago that they got married, and she goes because she thought he would settle down and things would improve a little bit. And I'm just like,
That's
oh
always
my
a
gosh, I
Flag
can't
warning in the
believe
distance there.
you just said that because you were divorced before from a very negative relationship.
Do I know
and-
this person? Is that,
Yeah, you know
I
who
do.
she is. Yeah,
Her initial doesn't start with mine, does it?
no,
Okay. Not her.
and I was just like, wow, my gosh, you knew that already, and you went ahead and got married to somebody thinking they're going to settle down, things will improve. What the hell is
You can
wrong
never
with you?
expect somebody to change just
Oh,
because you marry
shit,
them.
no.
That's the worst thing ever.
And today she was just pointing out about how she improved herself before she met this person, and how much happier she was in life, and things were going so much better for her. And then met this person, changed things about herself for him, and then other things started letting go, and it's just like, wow, that's impressive.
I'm dying to know who this is, and I know we can't say it on the air.
Yeah, I won't tell it on here.
I have
I
a
wish you knew sign language. I could sign it. Does it start with this? No.
I don't even know what that is.
I have an input. One thing that Dad always told me that kind of stuck in my head is he always asked me, do you, if you're in a relationship with somebody and you're unhappy, somewhat codependent, blah, 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 in a relationship, is do you feel more alone when you're with the person
Right.
or without the person?
That's a really good point.
And I've felt this so many times with so many relationships where I'm like with the person and I feel more alone when I'm with them. That's a sad, sad feeling. But then you crave that feeling when you are not with the person. Like, why would I want to
That's
be?
the association you have with them.
Yes. It's like, why do I want to be with this person when I'm with them? I feel more alone than when I am not with them.
I can guess this was like the earlier example that you're talking about with the
Yes.
abuse, Sam.
Yes.
Yeah, and we can say his name. We
Yeah.
won't say his last name because even if he listens to us, he would agree.
Right.
Because he knows he
Probably.
was fucking horrible.
Yeah. 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 Sam. Yep. Exactly.
Great friend, horrible boyfriend.
Horrible boyfriend.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the inability to get your partner's attention when you want to talk about something important. Partner mocks you, poking fun at your voice, facial expressions in a mean way.
What do you mean a mean way like this?
Trying to look cute with that funny face. What's up
Why
with
it sound
that
like you're on
hair?
lithium?
Here, suck this balloon. Let's see. doesn't seem interested when you experience success or belittles your success. Yeah, that's
a problem.
That's like a punch to the face, man.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they be happy for you? Mm-hmm. That's a tough one.
Even if they didn't think it was a good thing, if they're like, oh my God, what if this person goes on to be a mega star and I'm scared about our future, you would still have to be happy for them.
Sure.
Just be like, oh my God, great job. It's
Right.
exciting. It does make me nervous because of this, but I'm excited for you.
Right. I mean, there'd be nothing wrong with expressing that being the situation, but why even belittle or, rock their success of it? It just doesn't make any sense, but...
And it's not that everybody that we're talking about, I have to point this out. It's not like everybody that we're giving examples of is an evil person. There's people that do this mildly because they don't know how to communicate.
Right. And it might not, well, as you said, not even necessarily as a mild thing, but it's not the intention of it.
Right.
They don't realize this is the presentation they're giving. I'm sure, without a doubt, we're guilty of doing that. Many of these things not with that intention and not realizing that's the process that is initiated, which then really helps with having intelligence to then come back without eruption on being able to say, hey, what about this, or I don't, do you mean this? It's that questioning, is this what you're trying to say? And no, then it's diffused. As most people, and as your example, hey, I'm going to be a big rock star. Are you out of your fucking mind?
Right.
And then come back, what? Why aren't you happy? I mean, that would just keep escalating and escalating. Versus if the person was experienced with somebody who had been in that position and it turned out horribly because of that, and that's their response. Well, if you would respect that enough to say, I understand that might scare you, but that's not going to happen here, or it's not the plan for that to happen. So I get why you're concerned. I mean, that would diffuse it a little bit. It didn't knock their feelings about it, even though you took a punch. It came back appropriately.
And communication is extremely hard in relationships, but I think that's why it's very easy for us to go through these points and see like the real heavy examples, like the real extreme examples, like, oh yeah, oh God, that happened to me, it was the worst thing ever. But there's very mild forms of it, and that's what you need to watch out for. That's what you do need to say, okay, it might not be a red flag, but it's definitely an orange or a yellow, Like,
Right.
If I said, Eric, I got a new job, and you went, well, hope that works out. That's an extreme, But if I said, Eric, I got a new job, and you were like, great, well, all
Cool.
right.
You'll hate that one in about 6 months.
Again, extreme. I'm trying to think of a milder form where Eric, I got a new job. We're like, okay, well, we'll see how that goes. It's not that you were, if you said that you were being negative, but it's like you were very clear that there's some worry or whatever, but there's no communication behind it.
Right.
So, yeah, that would be a yellow or red flag to somebody, is they're not happy for you for doing something.
Right.
And there's no communication afterwards.
Yeah, for furthering your life or furthering your education.
Right.
Hey, I moved up from McDonald's to Walgreens.
Right.
Oh,
So-
okay, well,
there
great.
goes our taxes.
Right, exactly.
So all of these points, even though, the points are made to the extreme, you have to consider the, minuteness that they can invade our relationships in, and really be up for consideration to think about.
Yeah.
Very much so. Moving on.
Nice. Apparently I just killed that conversation.
No,
No, good points.
I did have some other points to that, but that's okay.
No, go ahead.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, can you reread it again, because I was away, but I think
Partner doesn't seem interested when you experience success. They belittle your success.
Yeah.
And the prime example she pushed up as a huge ordeal was if you were about to be successful, big movie star, singer, something like that, and your partner should be happy, even if they're worried, like, oh great, this is you're gonna become a diva or something. I mean, they'll have concerns, but they should still be, hey, that's wonderful. And
Yeah.
I guess I'm getting kicked to the curb soon. I mean.
Yeah. No, I have actually friends that are like that, where it's just like their partner's not happy when they actually do something successful with their life, because that means that they're going to be spending less time with that person.
Yep.
Oh my God. So really you would rather be unemployed and be broke and have no money, instead of this person doing something with their life and provide. I know money is not the end all of be all, but it fucking helps.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
You need to eat. You need money to provide for yourself. So being selfish and being pissed off because this person may have gotten a job that is going to require you to be away from them more it's a red flag.
And not only that, taking it into the male-female's perspective where one of you is making more than the other person and the other person feels maybe belittled because that person makes more.
Or threatened. Yeah.
Right, or threatened. You know, that's something that they need to evaluate within themselves. Or maybe somebody that's listening has felt that way. Evaluate that within yourself.
Yeah.
Go, why do I feel that way? You know, do I have to feel threatened by that?
Right.
You know, because, I mean, Eric and I, we've been together for a pretty damn long time. I mean, not obviously record-breaking. Nice. but throughout our time together, we've kind of stepped, you know...
one up, one down, back and forth.
Yeah, back and forth, and it's never been a problem. I know some people that would absolutely not be acceptable, and one of my friends said to me straight out, if I ever met a woman that made more than me, I would get rid of them.
Wow. Okay.
Because it
Idiot.
Yeah, and they couldn't even explain why. And I'd be like, do you feel threatened? No. They don't even know that they feel threatened.
But exactly. They're just going to deny it. Nope.
I'm trying to challenge your thought process, and you're just unwilling to look at yourself at all. That's another red flag, even in yourself.
Yeah.
You had pointed out some of the people we're talking about weren't evil or anything like that. The one person I'm talking about is evil.
Yes.
And along these lines of success, I got this pretty good job. It was only part-time, though, and you had to work part-time until full-time openings came up. You couldn't just start full-time. So you had to do it that way. So that created a situation where more jobs had to happen to cover income, and yet there was still going to be less, but in the long run, it was going to be worthwhile. Mm-hmm. On Thanksgiving Day, that situation came up, how the income level was going to be problematic. Mm-hmm. And in the middle of making dinner, I was told I was a fucking piece of shit loser because I took that job, which in short time of months would improve dramatically. But that's what I was because I took that step to improve for the family.
That's insane.
Yeah, Thanksgiving, something to be thankful for there.
Well, but that's what happens when you're with an insane person.
Yeah, absolutely. Not able to confide in your partner. If you were to reveal something that you're sensitive about, you're not sure they'd react respectfully or hopefully. Yeah, we don't have to worry about our neighbors anymore.
Eric, I really want to smoke pot.
Yeah, well, you know where the door is.
See, that's negatively. No, I can't confide in you. No.
Well, my feelings are I'm not interested in that being involved in my life. So if that's your decision's also going to include this, and yeah, I'll hold the door for you. Yeah, but no, yeah, it's
a milder example of that point.
Yeah, I can't handle that happening, so I will have to make other decisions if that comes to fruition. Partner makes jokes about leaving you or teases
like
you
just
about their second wife or husband will be like, oh my gosh.
Now, we've done that in jokes.
Oh, yeah, sure. And if you decide to smoke pot, my third wife won't ever happen.
Well, my next husband's going to be a horseman.
My next ex-wife. Oh, that's funny. You're not, when you're not physically together, it feels like out of sight, out of mind. As an example, your partner's on an international trip says they'll call you when they arrive safely at the hotel, but doesn't follow through.
Uh-oh. I actually do that.
Yeah, you do.
I'm sorry, I just forget.
But in some of it, to me, this one is almost a little difficult to accept as it is because, sometimes you go places where reception is not there, and it's not always like that. But there are times when that exists. So it's to some extent acceptable, but at the same time, is it? I hope she made it all right. Yeah. Well, I'm sure the hospital or the coroner's office that picks up your body will get a hold of me if something happened. So it's not the end of the world. But yeah, it's difficult. I mean, when I travel, I always landed where I'm here, whatever.
You were very cognizant of that, which I appreciate very much because I freak out.
Try, and sometimes I'm doing it going, fucking pain in the ass. But I understand it's the unknown things. Like, if you heard about the plane crash tomorrow, where I was going, then you might want to text me saying, "Are you still alive?" But if you didn't hear
Jenny-
about it, it's okay.
Jenny, you have to realize you're not a very good receptor of that.
Yes, she just said that actually.
Oh, you did. When
She
you go
said
to
she's
your,
terrible.
Yes, when you go to your horses, I freak out all of the time.
I know.
Because what if you get into a car accident?
I know.
And your phone's at home, sitting on the fucking coffee table.
I know.
What are you gonna do?
I'm a hypocrite. I
Right?
know.
You're gonna either be walking or dead, and we don't know which way or
Do
the
you know
other.
how many times my friends yell at me about this all
Yes.
the time? And I still fucking forget. Because I'm a moron
Oh my
when it
God.
comes to that. I know.
That's why I always try to ask you, I'm like, do you have your phone?
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
But no, I'm terrible at that.
The other
I
day,
agree.
she's like, "Oh, I'm going to the ranch." I go, I get home Monday, phone's fucking on the coffee table.
Yeah, I actually left and I was driving and I was like, oh, okay, I have everything I need. I have my purse, I have my phone. I went, oh shit, no,
Don't have
my
my phone.
phone's on the coffee
Yeah,
table.
yeah.
But I'm already 10 minutes into the drive. I'm not going
Yeah.
to turn around and get my damn phone. I'm like, Kelly will be there. She'll have a phone.
What if she
If you
doesn't
make
show
it
up?
there.
Yeah.
Right, if you make it there, or what if she decides, "Hey, I can't make it, sudden urgency."
I thought about that. I was out in the pasture the other day and I was like, what if something happened? Like, and I stepped in one of these ice holes and everything and like broke my ankle. I was like,
Yeah.
well, I'll be dragging my ass to the fucking fence.
Yes, you will.
Right.
Or if you trip, fall, horse freaks, steps on you, cracks your ribs, you can't breathe.
Well, then I'll be dead in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And who's gonna fucking notify anybody? Do you have an emergency contact for?
Yeah.
No. Okay, but
I have documents at the ranch
At the
saying
ranch.
emergency
Okay.
contact.
Yeah, once they go find her body in the morning,
Right.
chewed by the wolves.
yeah. But
Who
on the
was
way,
this?
it's like on the freeway. If something happens,
I know. I'm trying to get better at it. I'm
Okay, all right. Freaks me out when you do that.
And I will say, in all honesty, it's I'm going to the ranch. Yeah, whatever. You get off work in the afternoon, wherever that is. I know where you're going there, whatever. It's 9 o'clock at night. I'm like,
Yeah, I get a little worried.
everything okay?
Yeah.
Well, I guess I don't know. Her phone's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
You know, and just like, well, all right.
And we don't know the
Going to
route that
bed.
you take to your new ranch.
No, but at the same time, I'm concerned that because I don't know if an issue took place, and it's well, usually she's not out this late, but there has been times where you said so and so showed up, we're gonna take a quick ride, don't get home till 10 o'clock at night, and it's like, yeah, whatever, okay, it happens, whatever situation. I'm not worried like the worst happened, because I guess I don't think that way, but I am like, well, I don't know what has happened, but I guess if I wake up in the morning and she's still not here, I might want to go looking.
Yeah, especially on those overnight rides, which I don't keep you updated on.
Yeah.
I should. Yeah,
Yeah.
when I stay overnight.
Well, no, those usually you tell me, yeah, I'm going to be gone this weekend, or I'm sleeping out there. You know, sometimes it's
But still,
that
you
day
know.
you're leaving, and I'm like, oh, when are you going to be back? Oh, tomorrow. I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot. You know, but, I guess I don't, it's not to say it in a negative way that I don't worry so much, but there are times where I'm concerned, like, there's a little out of schedule here. She didn't tell me about that.
Yeah, I know. I'm an asshole with it. I'm a total dick, and I
But
don't
at
mean
the-
to be, but I just
no,
am.
But I understand this, because the same way sometimes I just disappear.
And it's not so much out of sight, out of mind, because there's all the times that I'll be riding and I'll be like, God, I wish Eric liked riding horses. He would love looking at this stuff, or I'll be watching a horse event or hanging out with my friends and I'll be like, it'd be so cool if Cheryl and Eric were here to, have some wine by the fire with us or whatever. So it's not that I'm not thinking about
Right. It's not the
people.
outside, out of mind, the
Yeah,
example that they're giving here,
but
that in consideration like that. It's that
I'm not good at
the communication
that.
for that. Yeah, it happens. But again, I do that sometimes. I'll leave here at 6 o'clock in the morning and go to frickin' Menards and shit to go shopping, and I don't get back till 1, 2 in the afternoon. As I've been looking at 3 different fucking stores, walking around, getting ideas. But the only thing is I'm not that concerned, because I usually have my phone on me.
Right, right.
So she's like, where'd you go?
Yeah,
Oh, fuck, it's afternoon, shit.
yeah, yeah.
But I'm not thinking about it. It's like, I just do my own thing and I disappear.
And he'll respond back, met some whores.
Nice.
Met some horrors on the third one.
Yep.
Got one more to go after that. Gonna have
Like,
a longer
only one,
rebound.
huh?
But, yeah. Let's see. You and your partner disagree. They insist you do things their way or leave. It's their way or the highway. You don't have a sense that when you disagree, you'll find a way of coming together. No, don't think that's ever took place. But that's that ultimatum kind of thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, if I were to ever have something like that, you would ever do that. But any situation, it's like, it's going to be this way or that way. Unless you're paying me, fuck off. Not sure how dependable, supportive, or reliable your partner would be in a situation in which you really needed them. For example, if you or a close family member got cancer. Well, you already know what that is. You're out of here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If I get it, though,
Nice.
if I get anything, he's not taking care of me. I won't even be living here. So we know this. We know this.
Oh, that was on day one,
That
so
was on,
that's
yeah.
not
this,
a shock.
This was an agreed upon. I mean, not so agreed upon now, but it's
right.
it's a condition I knew that's a sticking point. So
Can't get sick.
Yeah.
Blame your partner for life not being as satisfying as you'd like it to be, or they blame you. Well, it's because of you. It's only 27 degrees out today.
Yeah.
Partners dismissive of interests and projects. They judge the things you do by how important they perceive them to be rather than how important they are to you. Yeah. I think you did that yesterday.
I did
with the
not.
Table.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
said not right now.
It was important to me.
I didn't want to come look at it right that second. I was in the middle of a game.
Right, but it was important to him.
I knew it was important to him. I knew he was building a desk. Every time I'd be out there, but like, this is great. So
Yeah.
it's not that I was dismissive.
She just hated it from the start. That's what
I
it is.
did
I don't want
not.
to waste my fucking time.
Just because I didn't
I'm
want to
playing
look
a
at
game.
it right
I don't want to
then
lose.
and there. And then you get instantly butthurt.
Let's just be clear. I really wasn't upset. It didn't matter. It was a
Yeah,
good
it's-
opportunity to go off the handle in a silly way.
Yet it's coming up 24 hours later.
Nice. Hey, I can't predict what the paper's going to write.
That's right.
Yeah.
Stonewalling. You or your partner flat out refuse to talk about important relationship topics such as the decision to have a baby. Oh, we're not talking about it. It's already been made. Not happening.
Eric, I want to talk to you about money. Nope.
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 My hurt my back.
Hey, you work,
My-
I stay home.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Don't think your partner would make a good parent. I don't.
Wow.
We don't have
I
that issue.
did not. So
She didn't think she would.
That was already established. No, yeah.
Times you avoid coming home because going to Starbucks or a bar is more relaxing after a stressful day than coming home to your partner. Ugh. Yeah.
that would not be cool. That would not be comfortable at all.
Yeah, that'd be,
I think if you have even an inkling of feeling like that, get out
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah.
I think if I have an inkling of that, I've got a mental problem.
Yeah.
It's not relaxing at a Starbucks or a bar at all.
Right. I'm going to hang out at Starbucks for the rest of the night.
Go to a movie. I'm
Yeah.
bored.
Yeah.
Life together seems out of control. For example, both spend much more than you earn. Yeah.
Well, that's personality issues. Both of them spend
Yeah.
more money than they earn.
Yeah.
I think I do that already, but not
No,
in a
you don't.
relationship.
No, you
No.
I do that on my own.
Right, I can do that on my own.
I can't think of ways in which you or your partner make a great team. We beat kids well.
Nice.
Partner is the source of negative surprises, such as large, unexpected charges on your joint credit card.
Oh boy. Well,
well, I
you've
learned
had
not to do that, so.
situation. Yeah.
Well, he's had that situation,
Right,
which
so
is
that's-
why we've never shared accounts.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Catch your partner lying repeatedly. Well, on purpose. Why not?
Right. Obviously, that's a red flag.
It
Yes.
keeps life interesting. What are you talking about?
Oh boy. Nice.
I did not kill the neighbors.
Right.
Repeatedly.
Repeatedly.
Yeah,
Partner goes out but doesn't tell you where, fails to arrive home when expected and has no explanation. That one, I can't see that as a red flag so
No.
much.
I gotta pick a bone with that one.
Yeah, it's not that it wouldn't necessarily be a red flag in circumstantially.
Yeah.
It'd be a flag.
It
just
could
say
be.
If it happened a lot,
Oh, yeah.
maybe. But like when he just goes out, like if he just leaves, and goes somewhere and then comes back and no explanation, it's like, okay, he just went out.
Yeah, it's a,
I don't.
Right.
Yeah, I'll be back later.
Yeah.
Well, what the hell's that mean?
Yeah, and I usually ask him like, where are you going? Like not just because I'm like, where are you going? Because I'm like, where are you going? You know, it's mostly because I want to decide if I'm going to go with or not.
Right. But yeah, that one, oh man, yeah, very situational. I mean, it'd be like, I guess the only way I could see that as being problematic is like, we have dinner at 4:00. All right, I'll be back by 3. Don't show up. Come home. Oh, yeah, I forgot. All right, it happens.
Then it's kind of like, okay.
Could have texted. What the hell? I mean, whatever. Big deal. Well, if it happened again next week, and then the week after that, and then
That's
maybe a month
suspicious.
later
Right.
it happened again, it's like, okay, what the hell? I mean, that then to me would be something to say, what's happening?
So I think we could add on consistently to that point.
Yeah, well,
and then
yeah.
maybe it's,
And whatever
because-
consistent means.
Right.
I mean,
like a consistent seems shady or something, or
right.
sneaky.
Like if it was only Saturdays and not the Sunday dinners, it'd be like, all
Right.
right, is there just, you don't want to go out Saturday? I mean, there could be questions to that too. Okay, what's the deal? Yeah, so I have a tough time with that.
And a lot of that can be solved again with communication, like most of these things are, I mean, there have been times that we've questioned each other, like, you've actually asked me, like, are you trying to press my buttons or piss me off? It's like, no, I mean, I'm not trying to. Is that how it's coming off? I mean, that's what good communication, I think that's where it's key.
Right. Yeah, even sometimes when, I guess, once in a while when we've had plans and you were going out to the horse and it's like getting down to the wire, it's like, where is she? Mm-hmm. Text to say, where are you at? And then your phone's here and it's like, fuck. It's like, well, we'll see what happens. And then you come home late. It's like, yeah, I forgot my phone. And it's like, yeah, I already knew all that crap. Just get going. It's obvious, and you made it on time for us to go, so let's just go. So it's, again, situational. I guess just in that line on its own, I have a problem with that statement being as such because I don't have an appreciation for feeling that I have this leash on me. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't do that to somebody else. It's like, if you're putting your shoes on to leave, I already know you're leaving. Mm-hmm. If we had plans, when you come back? You going to be back in time for that? Do you remember that? That's it? All right, great. Cool.
Yeah.
Are we planning on doing anything later? No? Okay, maybe I'll go do some shit. Then I don't have to be cognizant of that in case you're going to come home and want to go to dinner or something. Mm-hmm. Then I'll be like, oh, then I'll find something to do and maybe I'll be out later and, go on a bike ride, whatever the hell the deal is.
Yep.
That would be the only reason why I'd ask what time you plan on returning. Because maybe I had dinner idea and you didn't know about it, so I just wanted to see if it would work. Otherwise, you'd be like, I already know you're going somewhere. Go do your thing, And we didn't have plans. It doesn't matter.
And I guess I should add that, it kind of sounds like we're puffing ourselves up, like reading this list and being like, oh, we don't have issues with that or whatever. It's not that we have the perfect relationship. We don't.
Sure we do.
Well,
I do.
It's not perfect,
Nice.
but, we look at it and we're like, yeah, it's pretty damn good. It's about as good as you can get. If so, like I always say to you, if something happened to you, I probably wouldn't get into another relationship. I'd have a lot of guys that I'd fuck, but that's it.
Why not?
Yeah.
Well, for me, why it'd be not.
It wouldn't
but
be men.
I need
right?
chicks.
But it's like the same kind of thing. It's like, so we have a really good relationship. We have had to work at it, but it's not that it's so much work that it's 100% of the time. Some people
Right.
get trapped into that kind of cycle.
And when people say relationships are work, I disagree with that. And because having to work something out once in a while to me isn't work. It was a hurdle. It probably wasn't something that was planned out. It was unexpected. Okay, you got to deal with this. To me, that's not work. That's just part of life.
Okay.
I don't think a good relationship should feel like any kind of efforts.
But there has been times that it's been efforts.
Absolutely.
Okay,
It's
that's
not
what I'm
that
trying to...
it's not that there hasn't
Yeah.
had to have been an effort working at something. Something just was a muck and it had to be worked on. I'm not saying that hasn't happened. What I'm saying is, if people are making the comment that relationships are work, so it always feels that way, that's to me is not a relationship. That's a
Right.
relationship. It should not be more than a challenge maybe every 5 years.
Right.
It just shouldn't have to be that kind of effort. Otherwise, you're trying to make something work, and you shouldn't have to be forcing it.
Right. Yep.
I always tell people when they want a relationship, don't look for one.
Yeah.
When you're looking for it, you're finding a job. You're you're finding everything you don't want because you're looking for those things on purpose. You're looking for those things so you recognize them. Well, when you don't recognize them, you find them anyway. You just don't realize it until it's too late. And then you got a problem to deal with. Don't look for a relationship.
I know that out of personal experience. The night that I met him, I told Mom, I said, I'm just going to live with you for the rest of my life and we'll have 40 cats. I said, 'cause I'm done getting into relationships. I'm done with men. I'm done with everything. And she goes, that's fine. She goes, but we have to flea bomb the house, so you have to come out. Because the cats brought home fleas. The 2 cats, by the way. I won't say 40. We're not like crazy cat ladies.
Right. We had
2. So and I was like, no, I'll just sit in the bathroom
with the cats,
for 2 hours. For 4 hours.
4 hours.
And Mom says, no, you are coming out with us. And I said, fine, but I'm not going to dress up.
Right.
She goes, that's fine. So I wore
I'm wearing
jeans.
all black.
I still remember what I wore. Yeah, I did wear all black. I wore black jeans, a black tank top. My hair was in a clip or whatever. I mean, I just did not look hot at all. And then I walk in the door and I see this perfect ass facing me. And I was like, I want to bite into that.
There was a pause. Perfect ass facing her.
Yeah,
not
yeah,
a perfect
not ass.
ass face.
Not ass face.
His ass face facing me.
And then he turns around and I see this hot guy. Oh my God, he was just chiseled everywhere. And he's wearing glasses like I do. And he had this like little flat top with the blonde tips and everything. I'm like, I'm going to fuck that dude in my head.
Well, we were working the door together.
Yeah,
when they walked in.
Yeah. So I mean, that's
and he
what,
kept your ID.
He kept my ID, put it in his pocket
For the entire night or something
and then
like
For a
that.
while.
Cheryl was trying to grab it out of his pocket. It was in his front pocket. You were grabbing it out of his pocket, and I said, maybe you should let somebody who's unattached do that. And he goes, what? And I said, nothing. I walked downstairs. I couldn't repeat it because I was too embarrassed. So, yeah, from personal experience, I know that it just falls on your face, especially when you're not looking, because that day I was done.
Yeah.
And it just happened to be that day I met him.
Yeah, and you're one of the few that it happens to, because I can say when you're looking and you're desperately looking for a relationship, I think that you tend to compromise, and you tend to, like when you're looking for a job and you don't have a job, you're willing to take whatever's on the board that looks good.
Yeah,
That's a good analogy.
Yes, you're right.
You're like,
'cause you
oh
have it
yes,
in your mind.
Yep, I want that. I'll take it right now because I have nothing. $14 is better than zero right now. You know, so you take it and you get into the job and you're like, oh,
This sucks.
this is not exactly what I was thinking, but I'll work with it. I'll try to work with it. I'll try to mold myself and mend myself to the way that this relationship or job wants me to be. 1 year, 2 years down the line, you're like, I'm not happy. When can I get out? Yeah.
But I've invested this time. I want to move
Yeah.
up. I want it to get better. I'll stick it out. Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
almost the exact same process
But
you end up doing.
Yeah.
You found the perfect boyfriend when you weren't looking. It just fell upon you. It just happened that he was still attached to somebody else and was lying about it the whole time.
Yeah.
But other than that, you guys were great together.
Which one?
Rusty.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and the other one too. But yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
He was better.
Yeah. Spanish guy?
Yeah.
Hello, Spanish guy. Brazilian guy, sorry.
Yeah. Rusty was, I think that we would have gotten too heavy into drinking together. So,
Okay.
yeah.
He was nothing
Well,
special.
not saying that
No,
there
you're
wasn't
right.
a reason that it broke off or whatever, but at the time,
It was perfect.
perfect because
Perfect
you
timing
weren't, you
for
weren't
me.
looking for anything.
You're right.
And everything
You're
just
right.
melded together so well until the end when
Yeah.
turns out he had another chick on the side or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. Because he actually asked me, we've been working together for a couple months, and I was like, I'm not even looking. So you may be cute, but I'm not even looking at you. And I think that that's what attracted me to, it attracted him to me, is that I was just like, pfft,
Whatever.
I had this wall up.
Right. Because everybody else is like,
Oh, you're so
hot,
pretty. Let me
right?
touch your hair. Let me touch your face. You're so gorgeous. And he knew that he was very good looking. And so any chick that was like, let me paw at you, he was just like, get away from me. And I'm just like, I'm not looking, so I have this wall. And he kept reaching out to me, and I didn't see it because I wasn't looking. And then one day he just asked me, well, he's literally walking down the hallway. I'm at a customer's table, and he's like, so, yeah, Cheryl, are you single? As he's walking, I'm like, no, and why do you ask? Anyway, can I take your order here? You know, I was like, what the fuck are you even asking me that for, bro? You know? Yeah.
Well, I know I happened upon Eric when he wasn't looking because he wasn't looking.
No.
Yeah.
It's kind
Still not looking.
fell in his face
Nice.
like a wet octopus.
I
like you. No. All right, so we read some more of the points here. Kind of got off topic.
You worry that your partner might get so angry that they'd hurt you. You have a sense of being trapped in the relationship. When you argue, one or both of you always gets defensive. You can never acknowledge that the other person has some valid points. Those are obviously control issues and abusive.
Yeah, it's like they keep talking about the very obvious abuse
Yeah.
and control, but like I keep mentioning, there are much subtler forms that you have to look out for.
Yep. Yep.
You know,
These are just
but
things
then
that they
there's
hit on.
people like our friend T. I won't say her whole name.
Mm-hmm.
She's in a relationship. She knows it's a relationship, but she stays.
Yeah.
And the drama.
Oh, yeah.
The drama and the kids and whatever, and you're hurting them.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you doing there?
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
You know her, real cute, dark hair. Wore heels for you a couple times.
Like once.
Once, yeah, I'd say once.
Has the baby.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, she wants to come over sometime this week. She misses us. All right, so
Lives here in Minnesota. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
So then, this,
Yeah, that T.
yeah, number 39 actually brought me to the point that I had pointed out earlier: is that you feel lonelier
Yep.
when you're together than when you are without the person.
Did we read that earlier? That
No.
came
No,
out almost word
I brought
for
that
word.
up. I brought that up
because Dad
told me that. He's like, "Do you feel lonely when you're with the person, or do you feel lonelier when you're without the person?" And I was like, "Holy shit!
Yeah.
I actually feel lonelier when I'm with the person."
Dad's actually a really good relationship, like, advice person, but he doesn't know how to pick his women. So
He's good at giving it, just not good at
taking
Exercising
his
it.
own advice,
right.
maybe?
Because he's
Okay,
too
okay.
much of a softie at heart, like you. Justifies everything like, oh, it's all right. And I'm like,
Right.
He's like, no, it's fine.
Right. She has the Star Trek alert button.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you had to rate your partner on a scale of 1 to 10 on qualities like warmth, trustworthiness, and dependability, you would rate them lower than a 5.
0, 9, 10.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
I'm shocked. There's a 9 and a 10 in there. I was thinking 1, 1.5, and 1, and I don't even know which they would have gone to.
Oh, boy. So you can't recall a time when your partner has compromised so that you could take up an opportunity. I think that's a lot with a relationship, is if there's not compromises on both ways.
That particular statement makes me a little concerned because I don't think people understand what it means to actually compromise. I think people mostly confuse compromise with negotiation, and that's a huge problem. Mm-hmm. It isn't. People will do the compromise. Well, if I can do this, you can do that. Or if you would like to still do this, then I'll do this. And that's negotiation, and that's not a compromise. That's not a good relationship thing. That's not going to go anywhere. That's a trade-off. Mm-hmm. And that is to me is not a compromise at all. Now, if it was, hey, we have $1,000. Let's see what we can spend it on together, or maybe we can find separate things we'd like. Okay, then it's like, well, if you get this, I'll be enough money for me to get this. If you're happy with that, then okay, that makes sense. That's a compromise on if you get this, I get this. There wasn't a negotiation of that, But if it's, well, I want to go out with my friends, so I'll let you go out with whoever you want if you let me go out with these friends, even though I know you don't like them. That's a trade-off. That's not a compromise. Mm-hmm. That's a controlling trade-off, and that's no good.
Okay.
Right, because you're forcing somebody to do something because you did something. It would
Or
be like
you
me.
want to be able to do
like,
something.
I tell Eric all the time in a funny way. I'm like, well, I went fishing for you and ended up loving it.
Yeah.
Why can't you even come horse riding with me?
And love it.
Because it's because
I
it's the
did.
same thing. I did. But it's the same thing as like that.
That's a trade-off.
It's a
That's
trade-off.
negotiation. That's
Right.
not a compromise.
It's not compromise.
The compromise comes in.
Let's not do either of that. Let's go to a movie.
Yeah, let's
Okay.
see. I don't want to do that. You don't want to do this. Let's see.
Find something
but
we
we
both
want
wanna
to.
do.
I want to hang out
Right.
with you. You want to hang out with me. Let's try to find something that we can do together that we can both enjoy.
Yep.
And if it's something that you want to do right now and I don't want to go with you, you go do that, and then we'll meet up later and go to dinner or something.
That's a
That's
compromise.
Yep.
That's,
Right.
I know you really want to do that, and I just don't want to go. And it would be more convenient for me just to hang with you and do that, but I can't fucking stand being there for 2 hours doing nothing. I can go over here and piss in a knothole until you get home. You know,
Yeah.
that's entertaining to me versus
Long
doing
piss.
that. Right. So that's compromise. That's okay. I understand. And so we'll do it that way. You know, we'll have to take a later movie though, because it's going to take a while. Yeah. Okay, that's compromising and working something out. And I think people don't understand that, because even with that example, people will get hung up on. But I want you to be with me.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but
not
you
about
want
what
me
you
to
want.
be
Right.
with you
Well, I'm
unhappy.
unhappy.
So you can be happy doing what you want to do far away from me anyway, because I'm not going to be out there in that field with you.
Like every time we go to a
That-
wedding.
So it's here's the compromise. I'll go with, and I'll just find something to do and deal with it.
Although the last time you had no point to argue with me whatsoever because it was your son's, and you still didn't want to go
Nice.
because it was a wedding.
Right. Well, I think that's where a lot of people don't understand, as I agree with you, is they don't understand where to draw the line. They think that desire and want is enough compromise to
Justifiable.
justification for the other person to just cave and just be like, oh, okay, well, because you want this, I'm just gonna give it to you, although it's fucking compromising everything that I'm like putting up
About
with right now.
myself or-
Right.
yeah.
Like I don't have enough time, energy, gas, or whatever going on in my life to come see you because you want me to. You need to see me. I don't give a fuck what you're wanting or needing. That doesn't have anything to do with my life right now. You can fuck off with your wants and needs, because right now my wants and needs are: I want to go home, I want to relax, my back hurts, I want to just do nothing. Well, I wish you would want to see you. I don't
See,
care.
now that's a really good
I don't
point in
care.
the dating scene instead
Yes.
of like a relationship or a relationship thing.
Right.
Cheryl's got a really good point in the dating scene,
it's
because
so
when you
annoying.
start dating somebody, they almost expect that.
Right.
They're
It's
like,
like-
come on over. It's like, why don't you drive?
Right.
You fucking drive after work and come pick me up. I
Pick
want to
me
take
up
a
or something.
shower. I want to be in grubs. They're like, let's go out. No.
Right.
I don't want to.
Right.
But I really want to see you.
And then when you
I don't
say
fucking care.
when you say I don't want to, they just take it as a defense. Oh, you never want to see me ever again.
That's-
No, I just don't want to see
Now
you
that
right
you
now.
mention that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So
It's
so in your
fucking
situation,
irritating. So
let's
irritating.
let's see if we can analyze this.
Yeah.
So I'll give you what you pointed out after work. You feel however you're exhausted, tired, whatever you want to relax.
Yeah.
And
They
the
wanna
communication has
see-
come on that they want you to come to them
Yeah.
because they want to see you, hang out with you, have sex, whatever they want to do. It's whether it's laid out or not. The point is they want you to come over.
Right. So I have
So
to
now you
exert
tell me.
energy.
If this is a compromise or not. Mm-hmm. Well, how about we meet halfway at a hotel?
Right. Or you come pick me up.
I want you to take that information and explain if you believe that's a compromise or not.
Exactly.
Let's just find a hotel halfway and we'll meet there. Is that a compromise?
To a point. If,
To a point?
Yes.
So you believe it's a compromise to a point, and I want you to elaborate on that in a minute. I want to know what Jen thinks.
I think it would be more
Well, hold
compromise.
on a sec. I want to know what her opinion is.
Okay.
Because then I want you to both explain your positions.
Okay.
I would say it could be, but I would say initially no.
Okay.
And the
So
reason
which way are you going to go with, though?
I'm gonna go with no.
No. Okay.
Right now.
Okay. So now,
But I'll explain that.
Cheryl,
later.
you explain why you believe in some ways that would be a compromise.
Because they're exerting the energy, the gas, and the money at least halfway to want to see you.
Okay.
And I would be exerting the same.
Okay.
50-50.
Okay. Then you're going with no, Jen. So why would you say no? That's not a compromise.
Because I'm more rude than Cheryl.
Okay.
I don't have as big of a heart. I really don't. That's true. I would say no, because if I don't have that energy, and I just told you I don't have that energy, then that means I don't have the fucking energy.
Right. Then you can come pick
Right.
me
You
up.
come pick me up.
Yep.
Plain and simple.
And
Done.
yeah.
Bottom
Okay.
line.
So
Yeah.
there's obviously some circumstances to the scenario that may play or play out. So now here's my opinion. That is not a compromise.
Okay.
In my eyes.
Yep.
To me, that's almost a meet me halfway to give me what I want.
Okay.
You're taking from the other person's perspective.
Right.
When you
and
told
this
them,
is
I'm
why.
too tired.
I'm
Yep.
too tired. I don't have
Okay.
the energy. I just want to go home and relax. You've explained what you want to do and why the request of coming over is not going to work. How is meeting me halfway between your house, my house, and a hotel any better for me as a compromise to what you want?
Right.
You want me to then only drive halfway, spend money for a bed
Right.
I don't need because I already have one, just so that I can hang out with you and probably have sex with you or be in the same vicinity as you for so many hours because I still maybe have to get up the next day to go to work anyway. So then I have to go home again anyway.
Yeah.
How does that become a compromise?
Right, right.
And if now you pointed out some things, gas money, how does that come into play for compromise?
You're right.
I don't see that as compromise. So even though, Jen, you went with no, you also had some other sides. Well, maybe I could see how is it possible for that to, in your eyes, to have maybe been a compromise?
In my eyes, it might depend on the distance.
Okay.
Like, so say you live an hour apart and you just don't want to drive that hour because it takes
Okay.
too long and you're done with driving. They're like, well, how about we meet halfway? Then it might be acceptable.
Okay, so-
It's based on how you feel and why you've
Sure.
given them the reasons.
So there are some circumstances
There are.
that might be logical,
Right.
and that's and I could see that if
Yeah.
that distance was a thing. And on the same note, if it was that distance, what if they had the day off?
Right.
They could drive the hour to your damn
Yeah.
house, and you can still have your relaxation
Right.
That's
and
right.
still have the time.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
would then be compromise.
Right.
Oh, I tell you what, would you like to see me? I will drive to you if you don't mind if I spend the night, because I don't want to have to drive home late at night, and I'll leave in the morning. To me, with the distance thing, that's a compromise. Even the halfway thing in that respect, I could see it. But if it was, I don't want to drive an hour, but 30 minutes would be okay, be like, you know what?
It depends on the reasons. I
Yeah,
think,
and I
why.
guess the expectations of the relationship and whatnot, I guess a lot of that would come into play. But if that wasn't even the case, I wouldn't see it as a compromise at all.
Right,
I see
right.
it more of me getting what I want
That's
and
why-
getting you to at least do what I want
Right.
to do there. Because maybe that person coming to where you live is unacceptable.
Right.
So then you have to go to them, and you're just not in the mood. So for them, getting you halfway is the next best thing.
Yep.
But that's still not compromise to me. That's
That's why my
getting
answer
what
was.
I want.
My answer was I don't really care what your needs are, but you're not basically because they don't have a vehicle. He doesn't have, it's just like, okay, so all the fucking everything is
See,
relying on
even
me.
then, for me,
Everything's relying on me, and I'm just like, dude, get your fucking license, learn how to fucking drive, and then you can come pick me up. Once you have a license and you have a vehicle, then hey, we can hang out again.
see, and that to me, that
sick and
would
tired of
be there. No, this you're going to be on
Yeah.
my schedule because I have to make all the effort, and it's not that
Exactly.
it's effort. I hate to say it that way,
But it's a costing factor.
It's not even with the cost factor. I mean, if you're in a relationship, you're in a relationship, and then you do what you're doing. But when it comes down to, okay, understand if it's Wednesday, got off work, it was a long day, I'm kind of tired, I got to drive home. If I don't, I go to your place, we hang out, I still have to drive home. Because I have to get up in the morning and go to work, and I don't have anything with me, I'm not prepared.
Yep.
I don't want to have to do all that.
Yeah, it's too much.
Because I'm an adult.
Too much.
I'm going to go home and do my thing, and maybe I'll see you this weekend.
Yep.
And maybe there was no plans for the weekend. So it's like, I tell you what, to me then it would be compromise.
Yeah.
How about we make some plans for Saturday?
Yep.
I'll pencil you in, and we'll go that way, because I'm not, the after work thing just doesn't do it for me.
No, especially when I got to work the next day.
Yeah.
Nah,
So
fuck
to me, that would be compromise, not the meeting halfway thing. That just wouldn't be it. Especially in that situation. They can't come to you. You're always going to them
Yes.
because that's what has to happen.
Yeah. Gets a little bit daunting.
Get an Uber.
Yeah, exactly. Learn how to fucking Uber back and forth.
I have one last point, and then the two other ones we'll talk about because I don't necessarily agree with them. The last one is if you call each other crazy during an argument, or
Oh, you're
really
crazy. That's not true.
anything else. If you actually look at somebody serious and are like, "Fuck you," I think we've maybe done that like once at each other when we were really mad.
I think you've done it, and I've responded to it. I may have actually done
You
it.
did
now that I
it
think
once,
about
and then
it.
and then maybe I don't remember which way it was, but
And
yeah,
I
there
thought
was.
I felt it was a response to something else, and that was the best. The other one wasn't good.
Right.
That was the best I could do because the other one was going to be horrible. Just hit a screw somewhere, and I don't remember what it was.
I
But,
think the second that it happened, we both realized
well, this is not a good thing right now.
that was basically abusive, and I think we found a way to we need to talk about this later or something
Yeah,
like that.
pretty
I mean,
much.
we both exited. We're like, we can't do this right now. It's obviously getting way too fucking heated, and we've never seriously said that to each other except for that one time.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and good point. And non-seriously,
We say it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the point I will drive with that, if you're in a discussion, whether it's heated or not, there is no room for stuff like that, because that is an attack, and that is not going to resolve anything. Jokingly, who cares? And unless you're going to mean it, there's nothing behind it. It's just funny.
Well, and there's even been times that we were upset with each other, and I've said to you, because you're acting like an asshole, and I meant it, but I wasn't saying you're an asshole. You know, there's a
Right.
different meaning behind that. So I think that kind of goes hand in hand with what you're saying.
Right, and yet, I don't know how that panned out in our situation here, but that can even be a little dangerous because the way it's perceived is going to make all the difference.
Right.
Even though the point is good, it might not be perceived very well, and so then that can make things worse.
Well, I think the deeper understanding that you have of each other, is
Right.
helpful.
If you understand your communication as well,
Yeah.
and you can present that, say, you're really acting like an asshole right now, and then it's followed up with something logical like, so let's just deal with this later when things calm down. Okay, that might still not sound good.
It might not go over well in the
Might-
moment, but
Might not be received very nicely, but you weren't going, you're an asshole. So we'll
Right.
talk about this later. That's going to be a whole different deal. That's firing stuff at people. That's
complete breakdown of communication.
oh, absolutely.
And that's, if you're calling somebody crazy and they just, keep taking it, they can honestly start feeling like that. And I would assume that with any trigger word that keeps coming up in an argument.
Oh, sure. And let's be clear. If somebody says something and the response is, that sounds a little crazy to me, that's not calling the other person crazy. That's saying whatever they just said sounds crazy. Now, of course, if they're talking about themselves or a situation about themselves, that might, come across, accusing them of being that way. But, so you gotta kind of choose that differently. And maybe the word crazy at that point is more along the lines of just absurd, not necessarily nuts. So you gotta kind of watch those words as such. I think that's an important
That's
point.
where the lexicon comes in handy.
Right.
Where you don't go into those, you're being a cunt.
Well, that was very cunt-like of you.
Right, exactly.
I didn't realize you could be such a bitch.
So you have to really stay away with that
Right.
kind of stuff, and if that's happening to you, you need to talk about it and question it, because that's one thing we haven't gone over, is when you do talk about something with somebody, it's like, okay, we have an argument and you call me crazy consistently. I'm going to address you and ask you, why do you do that? Do you actually think I am crazy? What's that about? Oh, no. But then it keeps coming up.
Right.
That's like pushing a boundary that you've already set. And
Right,
that
right.
additionally is a red flag.
Well, again, it's about the communication style that has to happen. I mean, when you're in a dispute, a disagreement, argument, whatever it is, we learned you always speak in the I's and the me's, the me's, the me's. You don't always do the you. However, that's not cut and dry, because sometimes the situation is about the person you're talking to, so you need to point out something that is happening on that side, but you need to express what that's causing for you, how that makes you feel. So you're presenting it, okay, you're doing this, this, and this, and this is what I'm taking it as. So at least you've set it up, okay, this is what I've taken from you, and this is how it's making me react. That way it's an open communication, because it's hard to say, don't ever say you in the discussion,
Well,
because
that's impossible.
you can't get away with that.
Sometimes there is about, like,
Right.
something
Like,
of
okay,
them.
when, as your point is, you say crazy, and you're saying I'm crazy, you're calling me crazy all the time, stuff like that, and it's making me feel this, and this, and this. Do you mean to be saying I am mentally unstable?
Right.
So then that inquiry is happening based on data that you're presenting that they do, but you've expressed how it's making you feel. And then at the end of it, you say, I need to ask for that not to happen because I'm having a hard time with it. Mm-hmm. Okay. Maybe when we're not in an argument, you can call me crazy all you want. Mm-hmm. But when we're trying to discuss something, it's not working for me.
Yeah. And then that goes back to the respect issue. If they
Right.
don't respect it, then you have an issue to
Right.
talk about. Yep.
Exactly. Call me crazy one more time.
So I got, all right, so these two last things that I wanted to go over are kind of iffy for me, all right? I'm going to bring up the most ridiculous first. Is they say you can think of several friends or colleagues whom you'd rather be in a relationship with, which I think is a slippery slope.
Right.
Because some people think it's like a sin if you're in a relationship to like fantasize about other people. I don't think that's true.
Right.
Like I've even told you how many times has my friend Mike come up in my dreams where it happens to be a sex dream. I have no fucking idea why I'm dreaming about that, but I'm
The
like,
guitar player guy.
oh yeah, oh yeah, always had a huge crush on him, and he
had-
knows about it. You know,
I actually had a sex dream about Kevin from Shameless the other day. Yes.
see, you're
I was like, oh my God, that was fabulous. And now I'm looking for a guy that looks exactly like him and is exactly like him. But yeah.
And the reason I think that this is a slippery slope is because there may be times that you're thinking in your head, especially if maybe you're upset. Like Eric might be upset with me and he'd be like, you know what? There's this really cool chick at work. I bet you, let me just fantasize for a little bit. What it'd be like to be her husband instead of my crazy wife or whatever. You know, I think it's not unhealthy to think like that. I think it's unhealthy to act on it, but I don't think it's unhealthy to think like that. So what do you guys think? I think that one's kind of iffy.
For me, for a very personal note, I can't say that I've ever thought of myself in a relationship situation, married or otherwise, about another person. And there's a lot of explanation behind this that I'm not going to get onto in this podcast, but you understand it because I never want another one.
You're a little unusual.
Yeah. I don't need another one. It's never going to happen if the one I have now is not here for whatever that reason might be. It's just not going to ever happen.
It's because you're secure in who you are.
Okay, and I'll take that.
Most men aren't. So yeah.
I can't say I've ever thought of that. Now, having relations, physical ones, all the time. And I don't think that's a bad thing at all. Sometimes it's a chick at the red light. I'm like, ooh, nice lips.
You ever accidentally had Cheryl slip in your mind? That'd be interesting.
No.
Really?
Never.
Never? I mean, it's such a psychological, easy thing. I mean, she's with us all the time. No?
No.
That would have been funny.
I think it only does for me because he's a good guy.
Oh, see,
But but like it's never been like your face.
Draw
just
me a picture.
Your
Like
personality,
okay.
It's just
Really? You like my personality?
not
Not
necessarily.
really. No,
Not necessarily.
Jesus.
But it's like-
let me lay on the ground and just kick as hard as you can. My God.
But no, it's like, as a female, those desires are like, oh my God, he's a really good guy. He's
You're
great to
drawn
my
to him.
sister. But I'm not like sexually attracted. It's just that
You
desire
can admit it.
of.
It's okay.
No. It's that desire of having a good man in
something
your
like
life.
like
A
that, or
solid
something
factor.
like him, right?
Yeah, a solid factor.
Well, because he's he's not
never had
identical,
dreams about
right?
you.
He's
Right.
not identical
No.
to Dad, but he
Tonight you
shares
will.
a lot of the good
Nice.
features that Dad has.
Right.
And
It's a
women are always attracted to
Right.
like their dads or whatever. So yeah, he has a lot of those characteristics.
dedica-
Definitely not identical, but
No, but a dedicated being in your life as a female is a very kind of prominent factor in a woman's life.
having somebody stable and
Yes,
caring and yeah.
I mean, you're great with like building stuff, and
You're
it's
acceptable of animals, even if you hate them. You let me have them.
Right, you can
Right.
fix almost anything that you can break. It's just you're a good guy. So yeah, I mean that factor I think in my head sticks.
Again, ladies, my number's 911.
So I just view that as a slippery slope because fantasizing about people,
I think
thinking
it's
about.
I don't think it's an unhealthy thing. I think it's
No,
very healthy.
I think it's healthy.
And not to say that it's a bad thing. Don't misunderstand me, people out there in the cross-gender world. But as a heterosexual male, I think the problem starts existing for our relationship if I start deciding I want to go the other route because that would cause disruption here. Mm-hmm. And that's our relationship. That's not, maybe in other realms, that's fine. And that's okay. I'm not downing any of that. That's fine. But that should then pique some concern. Like, okay,
Right. If you
is
start
there something
acting
wrong
on
here?
stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be something to question.
Yep. Yep.
You know,
And
but
as a woman, we can get really wrapped up in our own thoughts, and we can actually almost get swept away with our own imagination of how it could possibly be with somebody else.
Yeah.
We're like, oh God, there's even like daytime dreams that you can have of people.
Yeah. I
Right?
do that with the Brazilian guy all of the time.
You're like, oh my God, if I just had this. And sometimes it feels like you need it or you want it so bad that you can feel it. Your whole body's tingling. Your whole body's just like, oh, I just want to fucking scream because I can't get that or whatever. We get really wrapped up in our own thoughts. But you have to stop yourself and say, okay, why do I want that though?
Right.
What is it about that I want? And I don't have it now. So then your determination can be, okay, well then I want to find something out there that's perfect.
Well, on top of the fact that right now I know is not a good time for him. I just saw him Saturday.
Right. Yeah.
Which was awesome. We had the most amazing time I've probably had in like years. Everything was awesome. The food, the restaurant that he took me to, the food was fabulous. The time was fabulous. We went out with his friends that were from Milan, Italy, and I got to talk to all of them, the females, the males. They were so interesting to like talk to and have fun with. And then we went to this adult video game arcade bar. Were like Mortal Kombat, Off-Road, Connect 4, everything you could think of as a child was there in a bar.
It's like a retro 80s arcade
Oh,
for
it was
adults.
so much fun! And we walked there with his friends from Italy, and oh my God, we just had this blast of a time. And then we went back to his place, and we ended up talking till like 5 a.m. in the morning.
And you guys have a great connection,
We have a
but
great
it's just
connection.
not right
Oh, the
at the
sex is
time.
amazing.
I had to throw that in there.
Amazing. I can't stop. Yeah. So it's just like, but he's got way too many things going on in his life right now.
It's the wrong time.
It's the wrong time for him. So it's the wrong time for me to even try to pursue anything with him.
Yeah.
His ex recently overdosed from a drug overdose.
Oh, she died, honey.
Yeah.
She didn't just overdose. She died.
She died last month. And
That's his kid's mom.
And he's been trying to want to reconnect his family. He wants his baby's mama and him and everybody together again. And
oh, she's dead.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's not happening then.
Yeah.
No, I know, but
So it's the
you gotta-
wrong
if
time,
a
wrong place.
Yeah.
In granted, in your situation, it might just be like a wait time.
Yeah.
He goes to
well,
his
he's going back
homeland
to
and-
Uruguay.
Yep.
And his mom's farm burnt down, which is like 80 acres.
Is that the guy that came here once or something?
No, he's never been here.
No. He came here once to pick
Is that
me
about
up.
his mom or something before you were with this person?
You've never met him.
I don't think I've ever met him, but
I haven't met him.
wait, there was something like he was going to move back to
Uruguay.
some place with
Yep.
for his mom or something like that,
Yeah,
or was that
Uruguay.
the same guy?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And so
Loser.
what? No. So he's gonna move back.
Get
there.
your shit together, buddy.
Well,
Whatever.
he actually wanted to go back to his home country to help his mom move here so that she could help take care
Yeah,
of him.
I remember
Yep.
that.
Okay. Well, now his mom's farm burnt down, and now he's got to go back there, and she's like recovered like 75% of it. He's got to figure out things there, and that was the only thing keeping him here was his ex.
So now he might not come back. Right. It's
Yeah.
kind of all up in the air. So
Yeah.
pursuing it would be a real bad idea.
Yep.
Yep. But that's kind of the same thing as like, so you
My
know, or somebody-
desires and my wants, I have to put aside.
Right. And you also have to ask yourself, what did you see in this person that you want so much? Same thing with somebody who's married that may be fantasizing about somebody else. Ask yourself in your relationship, what is it that you're missing that person may need? Or maybe it's your own damn imagination. What is it that you want that person to do, and have a
Yeah.
conversation about it?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I had an issue with that.
Yep. So I've had to basically tell myself to calm my tits. Calm your tits, Cheryl. Calm your tits.
That's a good expression.
Yep. It's the only way I can explain it.
And then the very last one is cheating. And the reason I left that one for last, and I still think it's on my shit list, because I think people have a real fucked up opinion on what cheating is. It's all, susceptible to what some people think looking at somebody is cheating. Some people think kissing somebody else is cheating. Some people think thinking about somebody else is cheating. Some people think only fucking is cheating.
Yeah.
That's subjective.
I think only having sex is cheating.
That may be how you think, but what if the person that you're with doesn't think that way? Right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I have a hard time just with that word in general, because it's not something you're cheating on. It doesn't even fit the definition to me, and maybe that's just me.
Well, explain that.
You didn't cheat. There's nothing cheated. You acted. You did something. To me, cheating is like doing something that's unfair to the rules. Well, the rules don't apply the same from one person to another, from one relationship to another. To me, I don't even like the word, because people just throw it around so much, as you explained, based on their perception. If somebody came to whoever somebody else is and just was explaining a situation, and their husband, girlfriend, boyfriend, spouse, whatever they are, went out with a friend, met somebody, they were dancing, hug, kissing, went back to her place and spent the night. That person goes, "Oh, they're a cheater." It's like, you didn't actually hear everything that happened, and quite possibly what they're telling you is that they just felt bad that they weren't there for them to get them home safely or something. Maybe they didn't even care about that other crap, because it doesn't matter. But you're putting that on that, and now you're judging this person being somebody who's soft or a pushover or something negative, and they're not. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're just like, yeah, I felt bad that they were someplace where they were uncomfortable, and I should have went and picked them up. I just told them no. Or I'm just making shit up as I'm going here. So, whatever the situation is, people just have this idea about whatever it might be, and then judge other people based on that. And
Can I give an example?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I started getting to know you, right? Mm-hmm. I found out that you two slept in the same bed together overnight.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Nothing happened.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So if I was,
well, you don't have to point that out.
If I was somebody,
he was very respectful.
Yeah.
I wasn't comfortable. He could tell that. Yeah.
But that's the thing. If you guys had just told me that, and I was a very insecure person, I'd be like, "Oh, you cheated on me before I knew you with my sister."
Okay.
You can't make assumptions like that.
Right.
So yeah, it's like, okay, so you didn't sleep together, but you slept together.
Right. We fell asleep together, but we didn't sleep together.
So then where's the breaking of ties there? For
right.
somebody, like, if it's just me, if it was somebody else, would that be absolutely unacceptable?
Right.
To somebody else, would that be no big deal? Even if you did fuck each other, it's all subjective to what that person is thinking.
I think intercourse for me, it would be like
cheating.
a cheating factor, because I kiss my mother. Okay.
Now,
I
what
hug
kind
my
of
mother.
intercourse? Vaginal, anal, oral, all of the above?
I guess just vaginal. I don't know. I never
see?
really considered anal,
That's
even
kind
though
of-
I don't do it.
Right.
That's the thing is, so what would you consider an
Okay.
absolute no? And then thinking
Vaginal
about
for sure.
Okay, but thinking about somebody else coming into the relationship with you is you don't know their background or what their upbringing was or what their thoughts are. Can you absolutely say that they would have the same thoughts on what cheating is or not?
Right.
You
Right.
don't.
No.
Right,
No.
and not to-
Everybody's different.
And not to
Yeah.
answer the question, but just as an idea, as you're sitting here pondering, think about it. If you were with your Brazilian ideal right now, and you came home and said, "Oh, just had the most amazing anal sex with this guy I met," and he's like, "Oh, what?" And you're just like, "It wasn't vaginal. I didn't cheat on you." I mean,
Right.
you see, he's just like,
Right.
yeah, you did.
Right.
That's not cool.
Right.
You're like, it was in a different hole. I mean,
Nice.
he's not. You're just you might which is fine under your definition. It's like, no, that doesn't count.
Right.
Well, maybe that's not the way other people look at it. I mean, look
Okay.
at our little friend that was texting you about me, her boyfriend has got the idea this happened before him, and he thinks it's a problem.
Right.
All because of a text message.
Oh, no, he thought it happened well.
When they met?
I'm like, okay, is your boyfriend retarded? Can he see the dates of the text messages? They were before him. He's a fucking retard.
Right.
Dump him.
Okay, so he's got the impression it happened during,
Right.
with evidence showing before he was even in the picture, and
He's
yet
thinking
it's still a
he's
problem.
number one in her life. You know, it's just like,
Right. So right then and there is another example of look at this person's perspective in life based on the data they get and where they draw the line on the data
right.
to then conclude what they think happened.
You should just text and be like, I only gave her anal. No, I'm just kidding.
It doesn't count. It was only oral
I know.
and anal.
But you're right.
It was the
you're right.
digestive tract. It's not really sex.
Yeah, because I'm not like into anal whatsoever.
Right.
I think it actually is painful, and my past boyfriends have tried it, and I'm just like, no. So I don't. I guess I don't look at it as like a satisfying factor.
You don't
But-
consider it a sexual act because
Right.
it's unsatisfying.
But other women do. So
Right,
I
so-
can't factor that out. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So, but at the same time, there are people who don't find oral sex being sex, so it
Okay.
doesn't come into play as being, I guess, the cheating word or not. It doesn't consider it. Some people think that if you kiss somebody on the cheek, you're going off the reservation. Give somebody a hug. Who's that?
I kiss and hug my mom and my dad.
Yeah,
on
but
the
that's
cheek
okay.
Right.
You know, and some people are
Okay.
just like, why are you talking to that person on email? You met them on Facebook. You're having an affair.
Right.
If there was some guy, one of my guy friends, that was attracted enough to me to kiss me flat on the mouth, and it ended up like being a big sloppy, friggin' tongue touching whatever, I still wouldn't consider that cheating.
No,
I would tell Eric about it just so
Yeah.
he knew not to maybe kiss
I
me that
don't
night.
want to know.
But it's so there's different considerations.
Kissing is not a cheating. I don't
But some
think.
people
some
take
people
it to
think it
even
is.
a handshake
Yeah,
of
okay.
somebody.
Even a
that you
touch on
wanted
somebody's
to-
leg.
Okay. Wow.
You wanted to meet her that bad. You shook her hand. You're having an affair
Yeah.
tomorrow, aren't you?
There's
Yeah.
been arguments, like especially in the 50s, about you didn't grab that girl by the elbow, you grabbed her above the elbow, and that was a big no-no.
Oh my God. Right.
So I mean, there's all these different like thought processes that people
Okay.
have. So how can you assume that yours is the same as somebody else? Same thing. There's people out there that have open marriages or are swingers or whatever, and they'll still have definitions of what they actually consider cheating. Well, you have to tell me, or this or whatever, or it can't be 3 days later and then we have sex. There's all these
Or
different.
only when I have somebody. I mean, there's some
Right.
amazing rules out there that you would not believe that people identify only in this group of people. Only the approved list. Okay, so one of these four, any times, no big deal. Yes, but if I just meet somebody at the grocery store, oh no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I have a huge bone to pick with this one, especially because everybody's idea of it can be different.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think you're making a very good point that when you're in a relationship, you need to define very specific on what that's
What
going to
those
be
laws
and
are.
why.
Yeah.
Because the other person might have a different opinion.
And don't gloss over those. Like, oh, well, if that's what makes you happy, then that's what makes me happy.
Well,
because when it comes to that time, it's going to be a different factor.
You need to be
Yeah.
clear
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
And that's what I guess in my opinion what the best part of it is. It needs to be clear. But
Yeah.
and if you weren't clear, yeah, you can be upset about it after the fact, but you know, if you weren't clear, you weren't clear.
Yep.
And say, all right, well, I won't put it in her ass again.
Well, that was the thing between my friends that, were swingers who are now divorced. That it was as long as like, if they went to a party and they both were getting it on, as long as he didn't come, didn't matter if she came. She could come like 50 times with 50 different guys.
But he just
Odd
couldn't.
rules.
Yeah, but as long as he didn't come, it wasn't cheating. That's how selfish
That is some strange
she
rules.
was. Yeah, I'm just saying. Not
That's very controlling if you think about it. Mm-hmm. I'm going to control your cum factor,
Yeah.
and I can get off as many times as I want. That's like a power trip.
because he didn't care. He was like, "Get off all you want. Go do your thing."
Well,
Go
when
get,
when you
know.
get into that world, those those things can really, really get nitpicky because some people are like that.
Like
some
you can get
people,
off 7 times as long as I get off on 10.
Some people are.
It's weird.
I don't care who you're with, whatever, as long as I get somebody.
Yeah.
So then they're in this position where it has to be a swap deal, or some, daisy chain swap that person gets somebody, and other people are just like, I don't care if you get it or not, whatever happens. And some people are all in line, say, hey, if you get it tonight, then I get one whenever I can get it, wherever I can get it. I mean, then that's just how they draw those lines there. I mean, it's truly amazing on how specific it can get. So the orgasm perspective can very much come into play that guy just doesn't really care. He's not insecure about that, but she's just like, that really draws a line for me. And as odd as it might seem to you, me, her, anybody else, that might mean the biggest deal to her that she gets him off, not somebody else. And so then when they're all done doing their thing, they go home and she finishes that off. That might really be what matters to her. So, okay, fine.
Yeah.
And then the very last point that I wanted to bring up, and we can end after this, is if you display any of these, traits that we were talking about, you have to also ask yourself, how does that make my partner feel? Because in most cases, things like these would be a huge turnoff, especially if there's no communication behind it. Being controlling, being manipulative, checking texts, checking emails, whatever, being suspicious, abusive, violent, whatever. You have to think about how much of a turnoff that is. Yeah. And is that what you really want to portray?
Right.
Is that who you want to be in a relationship?
Right. That's very good points, and I don't think people take it to that about themselves.
Right.
I think that in a selfish way, people really believe that, they're the right one. They're always right. They're the straight, normal person. You're fucked up and need to fix it, and that's where a lot of the butting heads ever really comes from. And
we're all raised with different backgrounds. We're all raised with different morals.
Right.
Even if it's similar, it's going to be different. So
absolutely.
You have to ask yourself, if you're hitting these things for yourself and picking up little red flags, then ask yourself, what is that?
Yeah. What am I doing?
What am I doing? Or what makes me feel that way? And how can I possibly change that? Or at least make it a little bit better so I'm not turning the person I'm with off. Because that was one of the big things between you and I when we got together. I was very jealous. I was a very jealous person. And you remember the time, because you worked at a bar, part-time bartender. It was not his regular job, people, just letting everybody know that. Or
security guy.
Bouncer, sorry, bouncer, B word. And there were all these women that were just, flocking over Eric, just hanging on him.
Oh, yeah.
Hanging on him. And they're just like, oh, my God, you're blah, blah, blah. And these women would befriend me just because I was with him. And I knew that. And I remember there's all these girls around you or whatever, and I came up and I slipped my arm around him because I was like, all right, bitches, I'm going to piss on this lamppost. It's mine.
He's mine.
He's mine. And they're all like, all of a sudden the attitudes all changed. They were less flirty and everything, which I could visually see.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you guys, how you guys doing or whatever. I said, oh, he's just the best boyfriend ever. And I was like gloating and whatever. I looked up at his face and I was like, whoops. So you have to take these things and go, maybe I'm not being as lovely as I can be.
Right.
If I'm displaying any of this stuff, because that was kind of the turning point, and we actually had discussions about it. And I changed that for myself because it made me more relaxed and going, okay, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I was totally peeing on that lamppost, and he was like, ick. I don't know what you were thinking, but your face was like, motherfucker.
I was like, this is a problem.
Oh, fuck. She's like, psst.
It was like maybe the first month.
Yeah. I'm like, well, we'll see how far this goes.
Yeah.
No,
As a guy, I could see that being a factor.
I think that it's not as a problem as, oh, I'm going to stop getting attention or anything. It's to the point where my personal life was just really my personal life, and that was not the place for anybody to know anything. Because I think within the first 6 weeks I worked there, as an example, in 6 weeks, I had 14 kids with 27 different moms. I was married 14 times, and I had AIDS.
What? Oh boy, you had AIDS too?
I had AIDS.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And that one I was the most proud of because I started that rumor.
Oh, funny.
You did?
Oh yeah, on purpose. And I tell you, I gotta take that. The AIDS one I think came months later, many months later, because that's when I started shaving my head clean off. And so maybe even a year later.
Oh, that's when you were with me.
Yep. Then I
Yeah.
started that rumor because the other ones had started even expanding further, and I was all of a sudden I'd been banging some chicks I didn't even know who they were, and it was like, all right. So then I decided I shaved my head off, and I was taking some other medication as well that prevented me from consuming alcohol, and I can't remember what it was.
Accutane.
Accutane, that's right.
I can't believe I remember that.
Yeah, I knew it started with a name, but I couldn't remember what. So I went out there once just to go out, and I wasn't going to drink, and I had just shaved my head, and people were like, "Oh, you're bald." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm taking these experimental drugs." And people were like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, well, they found a cure for AIDS, so I have to take these drugs that'll give me AIDS, and then they'll cure it." And the first person I told that to, they got all dead serious and like, "You can't do that. You need to be careful what you're doing to your body. They can't. What if they can't fix it?" And I'm like, they can fix it. It's been proven, right? Other people have done it.
Oh my God.
And so then after that, because then I always shaved my head before I went to work for the first time that weekend, so it was always smoothed out. And so after that, it came around that I had AIDS.
Was it
Somebody
this guy?
came.
I think that would be the only dumbest guy that would believe that.
No, it was a girl that no.
Okay,
No.
okay.
Yeah, it was a girl that was there the first time that I told.
Coat check.
Nope,
I don't
wasn't
know.
a coat check chick. It was a patron, a barfly.
Okay.
And after a while, it got then to the staff that came up to me, and somebody had said, did you lose your hair? And I was like, yeah. What do you mean? And like, well, somebody said you have AIDS or something. I'm like, yeah, I'm taking experimental drugs so I just kept it going. And they're like, what? Is it working? I'm like, well, as far as I know, I feel okay.
Right.
So
it gives you AIDS and then takes
then they're
away
going to
the-
solve it because they found a cure. They need to give it to you first so
my
they can
God.
fix it. It was such a stupid thing. So that was just not a place I ever wanted anything about me to be known.
Yeah. It was a good place not to be known.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That must have been after I got fired.
I
I don't remember.
maybe.
Yeah, 'cause I don't remember you never having hair there. You always had hair there.
Yeah, it was probably it was about 2000, year 2000.
Okay. I think I got fired that year, and I wasn't able to ever come back.
It was right around springtime.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, the place was a mess.
It was entertaining.
The ownership,
Oh, absolutely.
the entire fucking bar crew, the entire fucking server crew were addicted to meth. The bussers were addicted to meth. It was just a fucking mess. It was a mess of a fucking joint. Yeah. And now they've got the hotel extended to it, so now it's a little bit more reserved.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
Not really. It's
Still
still
a piece of shit.
Yeah, the basement's like what, a banquet room now or something?
Yeah, they
for
tried to upgrade.
weddings.
Yeah, they tried to upgrade the place, and I don't really think it has done much.
Still a piece of shit, just a new
yeah,
wrapping.
Yeah, exactly. Has a new wrapping.
So yeah, that was a fun time there. But
Yeah.
and I think that was probably no, it went way back even before when I was doing city work, where it was you learn not to have your personal life out there. Then I ended up getting some stalkers from that job. Oh yeah, that was a good time.
And some crazy girlfriends.
Oh yeah, a couple of those. Well, one of those actually. Only, no, there's a couple in there. Not girlfriends, but one girlfriend, an acquaintance. So outside of that,
Frequent riders.
yeah, there was
Yeah.
a
was a girl that worked there or whatever, but her and her mom had some real weird ideas. Like
that was
if
a
you
that was a
wore-
girlfriend one.
That was a girlfriend. If you wore red nails or red lipstick, you were a whore.
No. It was, I think it was red nails. And you were a whore, but you could wear red lipstick.
Oh, so
it was just the
well,
stupidest shit. It was like, what?
they're from Cambridge, so they probably did meth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably. In fact, they probably grew it.
Drew it, yeah.
Yeah, they
Baked
made it.
Yeah, they made it. Yeah.
Now they can grow it.
There was a
Cambridge or Isanti, you pretty much grow it.
There criminal investigator in the family, so they knew how to get away with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, there was a security guard in a parking ramp that was always there around there,
Right.
and I never picked up because I'm pretty dense to it that she liked me,
Okay.
but apparently she did, and somehow through somebody, she got my home phone number.
Oh.
And called one night and was chatting with the person. I didn't know who it was because I never really talked to her enough to know her voice very well.
Yeah.
And then she did this thing that she does when you're talking to her, this little tick. It's toward the end of our conversation. I started noticing something. And then she did this little tick thing that she does. And I'm like, now I know who this is.
What was the tick?
Just when you would say something, she'd go, and it was just in the right tone that she did it, and it was just dead on. And I was like, because at first she was very resistant to tell me her name, and that would turn into a 12-minute conversation on just getting a name out of her, which wasn't the name of the gal that I knew the name of.
Yeah.
And then after about 40 minutes on the phone, just nonchalant conversation, that I started noticing just her methodology talking, the way she was talking, and then that happened, and I was like, now I know who this is. And I told her that,
Yeah.
and I said, do you work downtown anywhere? Why would you ask that? And then she got a little skeptical when I started really asking specific questions.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I think I know who this is, and I don't ever remember giving you my number.
Yeah.
So then I had to go and at work and say, yeah, somebody got my number.
Yeah.
I don't know how or who gave it to her. Started asking around because many same people were always around that garage. Started asking, and somebody had mentioned, she was asking around if people knew you outside of work and if they had any way of getting a hold of you or anything like that. And I was like, son of a bitch.
His girlfriend must have been on meth when she gave her the number.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably where HIPAA started coming in.
No,
into
HIPAA is the
factor.
Health Information Privacy Protection
Oh,
Act.
it's
Yeah.
just
Well, even
Still,
there,
though-
some people could get a hold of the private number for work we had.
yeah.
Because they needed a contact there for some reason sometimes because of security in the garages for stuff like that. And so they could call up and say, yeah, I got a message for so-and-so. Can you give me their number or whatever? And sometimes they knew enough people, enough places where they could ask for specific data and they could get it. I mean, people are just stupid that way. But
Yeah, because in the restaurant industry, you can't call and you can't ask when a server works. You can't ask for their number. You can't ask for their schedule.
Well, now you can't, but you're talking 20 years ago.
I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, people would call up all the time in that job and ask, when is so-and-so due over here or there? And fucking they'd look it up and tell you.
Wow.
Specific person working.
Yeah.
Not general data.
Yeah.
Just,
Here's their name. Here's their address. Here's their social
Oh, no,
security
you'd
number.
call up with the number. They'd call up with the name and stuff like that, so then they would just assume
Yeah.
that they knew who they wanted, so they could just look it up. And,
Because they're government run, I'm pretty sure that they have different,
Ways of.
policies now. But
Oh, yeah.
back then, I think it was fairly easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think we're going to wrap this one up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's been a long one.
Yeah.
We're about 3 hours in.
About 3 hours, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry
No,
about
I
that.
guess I'd conclude with this. There are so many things we could talk about with relationships. I mean, and everybody's an expert from their perspective, but not everybody knows what the hell they're talking about. And if you find yourself needing relationship advice, you're already in a relationship. You can just start right there. And the worst thing ever you can do is get out of one and try to look for another one.
Mm-hmm. Or stay in one that
Yeah.
makes you feel shitty.
Yeah.
That's right. If you're ending a relationship, I don't care how long it was, 1 month, 1 week, 10 years, you better give yourself a year before you even think about having another one. Now, that doesn't mean don't go out fucking have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, by all means, just that's where the line is drawn. And if you can't handle it, don't do that either.
Yep.
Because, sorry to break the news, but sex and emotions are not married together.
No.
Two separate things.
Yep. Find yourself. Find
Yeah.
yourself, and that's one thing about being not in a relationship, is finding yourself.
Yeah.
That
You need
is the
to.
most important thing you can do actually in your life.
The best thing you can do for yourself.
Yes, you'll find out so many things about, like, oh my God, why did I date that person
Yeah.
for fucking 15 years of my life when I'm not even the person that he thought that I was, that I thought that I was. You'll find so many things about yourself that you didn't even realize.
And you need to do that when you get out of a relationship. The best thing you can ever do for yourself, and the thing you need to do, is find what you need to fix about yourself.
Yep.
No matter who you want to blame, it took two people to make that relationship, and it took two people to make it a relationship, and it took two people to end it. So you had faults just the same, and work on yourself from that, and
Yeah.
you'll be able to decide what you don't want.
Yeah.
And don't be a victim, because there's a lot of people out there that think that this just happened to them. But here's the bottom line, is that if this is happening to you, you're still the one that's deciding to stay until you don't. So you're not a victim, and you don't have to be a victim. You can change. That's the one great thing about humans, is we can always change.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything about ourselves. So do the soul searching and find you.
Yeah.
And the happier you are, the better you're going to find, or you're going to attract.
Yep. Find your defects, and if your defects are things that you can work on, then go ahead and please work on them for the rest of society. If the defects that your partner, they're not willing to work on, well, then fucking drop it. You know what?
Kick rocks.
Kick rocks.
I think one of the
Great expression.
one of the things, like when your friends come over and whatnot, that just frustrates the hell out of me, is when they're talking about their bullshit, and it's like, the solution is very clear. You need to move on.
Yeah.
And you can see it in their face, because they don't really say it much. If I ever get to that point and finally just tell them to shut the fuck up, this is your problem and whatever, is hey, you don't understand. Oh no, you don't understand, because you're in there justifying your shit to stay there. I understand, because I'm looking at it as a whole and I see the problems, because you're telling them to me and I see the solutions. It's not that much of a big deal. I know it's difficult. It's never easy. We've all been there. But from people who have been there telling you it is easy, trust them. It can be done.
Yes. But
You got to do it.
It's always these little wires, like, oh, well, what about this, and what about that, and this wire here, and this wire here keeps me attached.
Right. And it's the same wires to stay there.
Yeah.
What about this? What if I try that? Well, you know what? Eventually, the boat's taken enough water and it's sinking.
Yeah.
The Titanic did.
I'd say is each wire worth wasting another year of your life?
But Dane Cook was correct when he was like, women find the craziest reasons to stay in a relationship. I still have 12 CDs in this truck. I mean, that's the thing.
Right.
So are those lines or wires actually lines or wires? Or
Right.
is that just your lifeline holding on to something that's dying?
Right. That
Yeah.
doesn't need to be. Yeah.
Yeah, we get rid of deals financially when the loss is getting too great, just to cut the losses and not lose more. How much time are you willing to dump?
Shit, I lose 20% and I'm already thinking, maybe I should put my money somewhere else.
Yeah.
You lose, 85, 90% of a relationship and people find reasons to hold on to it. Don't do that.
Got to move on, yeah.
Yeah.
Life's too short. Better off alone.
Yeah. Your kids will be happier, so quit blaming it on the kids.
Oh, that's the worst excuse,
Yeah,
too.
don't-
We have kids, so?
So what? Do your kids want to see you in a happy relationship or in a miserable relationship? Because
Exactly.
they're going to mimic the same.
It's honestly the only reason we got married. It's for the kids' sake, because they
Right.
started to say, they're like, I don't ever want to get married. And I was like, why not? They're like, because I don't want to have to swear at and hit my spouse. Hello?
Right.
It's not a healthy relationship.
Come on, sure you do.
Right. All right.
Anything else?
No,
I think we're good. Yeah. Thank you all for listening.
Leave comments, leave posts.
Appreciate your time. We'll be back. I think we're going to do, I don't know if I
Super
haven't
Bowl
seen any
Scientology thing.
Scientology thing. We'll come back and probably review Leah
Remini.
Leah Remini's show in detail
Yep.
if we want. I think it'd be interesting.
Still looking for Stephen Avery post.
Yep,
And,
any of that.
Anything
And
anybody hears on that, let us know.
I'm going to say go Patriots.
We're going to say go Atlanta.
Come on, Falcons.
We'll
Well,
repost on that.
We'll come back at you again after the Super Bowl.
Have a good one.
Drink it, baby, till the cows come home to roost. Well, if you drink all night, baby, I need a boost. Hey, yeah! How about a good Tim Whip? Well, I'm a drinking woogie woman, I can dance it all night long. Hey, well, I'm a drinking woogie woman, I can dance it all night long. Well, we're having fun ain't wrong. I'm just a drinking woogie woman. I'm 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 a drinking woogie woman and having fun ain't wrong. All right, listen now. But I'm a drinking woogie woman. A drinking woogie woman. I'm a drinking woogie woman. I'm a drinking woogie woman. I'm a drinking woogie woman. Drinking all night long. How about a big Tim Whip? John Franken, Scott Sansby, Andy Boderman, and Larry Wiegand. I'm Lisa Winger. Thank you. That was fun.